should be good. We should be good. All right, we are live. We do like a little pre-stream for like 1 to 2 minutes until we switch to the main scene. I'm like nervously excited. You know, this is fun. I'm gonna try a new yerba mate flavor, and I hope it doesn't taste like dirt, because the other one did. Do you know what that is? It's like an energy drink.
I actually had a fair amount of yerba mate. I lived in Brazil for a couple of years.
Oh,
they drink it quite a bit in this part that I lived in. Yeah.
All right, so for everybody that is just joining into the stream listening, we have made a Discord server, and if you would like to ask either Dimrain or NightHawk or any future guests a question directly, make sure you stay around, because we will have that readily available for most of the episodes going forward. And I hope Luca's here, because we have some staff just to make sure people don't be dumb. Should be good. All right. Nothing is separated. Let me do that real quick. I'll be quick with it. Okay. You ready, Kugel Blitz?
I am.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to what is it? Episode 29, right? It's been like 2 weeks. We were going to get Absolute on last week and the week before that, but we've just had a lot of planning problems. But we've managed to bring in two legends. Two musical... What do you want to call it? Two musical... I can't think of the words. I'm nervously excited. It's going to be really interesting because there's a lot of parallels with you two. I'm slightly nervous. I'm just excited.
I think gods is probably the right word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, a bit of ego. Okay.
How are you guys? Pretty good?
Doing all right. Yeah.
I'm doing great. What's up, NightHawk, brother from another mother?
Yeah. How's it going, Rain?
Maybe we were separated in person.
Yeah, honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you two were like clones or something.
There's echo? What? Oh, there is. My bad. I fixed it. I didn't realize something was messing up. Should be good now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all good.
So what were we talking about? You guys were gods or something? You got separated at birth?
Yeah, it's good to finally talk to you.
Yeah, you as well. My daughter and I were just getting down to some NightHawk earlier today in my car.
Oh, man. Well, I'm flattered.
Song?
She likes Perfect Storm.
Oh, that's my favorite. Yeah.
I listened to that last night.
That,
I listened to
build at the beginning is pretty fire. Dude,
this is awesome, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll get into some material in a second here. I just got to pull it up. But dude, I'm excited. So I know Dimrain's been on here before. We talked about a lot of stuff last time, a lot of cool stories, and you both are very, very similar, as we talked about. And I don't even know where to begin. It's just, this is gonna be fun, man. So the parallels are ridiculous. So you both used FL Studio, right? And you both used the demo version, right? And you both did that thing. I don't know about Dimrain, but I think NightHawk did that thing where you swap out the presets, because the demo one, you can't keep it. So you'd swap it out and do all that shit. The parallels are crazy. NightHawk22, Dimrain47 make similar music. I just wonder if NightHawk has anything to talk to Dimrain about, because I know Dimrain's a huge inspiration for you.
Yeah. I mean, how I got into techno music, I actually... my mom started me with piano lessons when I was like 5 years old, so I have kind of more of a classical music background. I got into saxophone because my dad played in college and played in the jazz band and stuff like that. So yeah, I was in band in high school, middle school, stuff like that. My friend in marching band, my first out of 2 years in marching band, he was like, "Hey, listen to this cool techno music that I found," and it was Dimrain47, and that kind of started my launch into like Newgrounds music. And I feel like Newgrounds is an iceberg where you got a few like really popular names that really stick out, and then you've got like thousands of people just making music aside from that. And you were one of the first people whose music I heard. Heard a fair amount of Paragon X9 and a couple of other artists
Yeah.
as well. And I thought like I would love to make music like this. And so I was just looking into different DAWs, and I saw Fruity Loop Studio seemed to be relatively user friendly to get into, while also being pretty flexible and powerful. So I just gave it a try, and I would say it took me a while to kind of get used to it, and I put out some songs that I'm proud of when I look back and think like that was my first song using the DAW. But nowadays when I compare it to some of my later stuff, it's pretty rough around the edges. But yeah, I mean, I followed you when you would release new songs and such, and me and my friends would talk about it, and I'd work on music myself, and I'd show it to them. They'd be like, "Oh, that's cool." So it's just a fun experience. I was in high school, learning something new, kind of delving into this new world. So yeah, I guess that's kind of what jumps to my mind first.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, my experience was so similar. I had a friend back in high school. We would go on Newgrounds just to watch all of like the silly Flash animations, play all the games and shit like that. And I can't tell you what game, but I was playing games or watching animations, cartoons, and stuff, and was drawn to some of the music that was featured, and just found my way over to the audio portal, and just like you said, kind of got wrapped up with a lot of the big names in the techno portal, started following them. Paragon, as you mentioned, Bounce. I don't know if you ever listened to Bounce. They have a song called Paradise on E, which was like my favorite song.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my jam. And so, same exact thing. I was kind of just lurking in the comments, found that these artists were using FL Studio. I didn't even know what a DAW was at that point. I didn't know how to read sheet music. I hadn't really taken any formal music lessons, but knew that I wanted to do this. Downloaded the FL Studio. I'll try not to overlap too much of this story with the previous podcast.
You're good.
Because I talked about this a lot. Yeah. And same exact thing. Just kind of went from there. Just did what I sounded good. No sound design. Just pulling presets right out of Citrus.
Inferno.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that we sound so similar, but it's actually pretty easy to just go into Citrus and make a song that sounds like ours.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, there's definitely some magic there. There's some X factor. But you can take the Inferno instrument and run it in some 16th notes and slap a slide tool onto it, and you got a Dimrain song right there, pretty much. But yeah, it's crazy. I hadn't heard your music in a long time, NightHawk, and after Blue invited me onto the show, I went back and just kind of listened through a lot of your stuff, and was just blown away by it. Like there's so much gold in there, so many gems. It's definitely really good. So what's your story, NightHawk, with why you dropped off the face of the planet? Because I have my own reasons, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just wanted to say, like, mad props to you. No music theory background, like, leading up to that point. No, couldn't read sheet music. You made some great music. So, yeah, serious props to you. And I appreciate the praise. And, I'll be the first to admit some of those songs are rough around the edges. And I would say I had kind of a stronger fundamental in some of the theory of music and less so in mastering and sound design and balance and stuff like that. And it definitely shows. But it was mostly just to have fun, and it was really fun to like post a song and see people just leave comments, and like the more songs I posted, the more people would be following. It was just a rush, Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like as my most popular song, Isolation, has kind of become more popular over the last couple of years. Yeah, it's kind of like reawakened some of that, like that high schooler in me, and like brought me back to that time. And I went back and listened to some Dimrain47 songs, and it made me really nostalgic. Prototype, Forsaken Neon, Surface, Infernoplex. Those were like some of my favorites. So yeah, I guess my story. Why did I drop off the face of the earth? So I guess it started with where to start? So in high school, I was really busy. Like I was um, getting up early in the morning, doing like an early morning Bible study type thing before school, and then I would go to school, and like a couple times a week, I had jazz band practice in the mornings before school started, and then I'd be in school until the end. Go to track practice, go home, practice saxophone, practice piano, half an hour for each of them. Do my homework, and that was pretty much a full day. And somehow I would still find time to slap out some music. I would use pretty much just any of my free time. And then my senior year, after I graduated, I think I made a couple more pieces, and then went off to school to study computer science, and things just really, really got busy there. Like both social life and just homework, lots of homework. It was my first time having, I guess that autonomy over my day to day, where, I was going to my classes because I wanted to, because I knew I had to, and not because like someone was compelling me to, or that I would get in trouble if I didn't go. And aside from that, like, it was also the first time that I was just completely unsupervised and had like, had to pace myself, had to stay on top of my own stuff. And, my freshman year, I didn't do too well in all of my classes. I think there were a couple of classes that I had to retake in subsequent years. I was just, out hanging out with friends late at night, shooting the breeze, having fun. And then, trying to balance with whatever little time I had left, some of my studies and my homework. I definitely turned it around after my freshman year and really buckled down and did well and graduated and with good grades and such. But that freshman year was it was busy. So I really didn't have. I guess I could have taken away some of that social time and continued to make some music. But it was the first time that I'd had that freedom in my life, and so I don't know. Like I don't regret any of the time that I spent with those friends, and I also don't regret not having made music during that time. I was having a good time and made some friends that I still stay in contact with occasionally to this day. Yeah.
You don't regret not having that creative outlet? Because I certainly regret.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I had another creative outlet during that time because I started getting into choral music, and so I sang in the university choir, and that's where I kind of discovered my if one of my life callings was to be NightHawk22, then I think another of my life callings was like, I would say my voice kind of fits like a puzzle piece into like the bass section of a choir almost perfectly. And
I can see it, yeah.
Pretty basic.
That kind of launched me into the choir scene at the university, and I was able to sing under the direction of a pretty highly acclaimed director, and he's been pretty influential in the choral world, at least at the university level. And I've had so many good experiences with that. So it was a creative outlet, a different creative outlet. And yeah, I do kind of wonder like what could I have been able to make with techno music if I hadn't kind of taken the time out of that to do other stuff. But like really the real blocker for me, the real big thing was kind of referring back to I don't remember if this was on air or off air, but someone was mentioning trying a new mate flavor, a yerba mate.
That was me.
And I mentioned, was that on air or off air? I don't remember.
I think that was on air, yeah. So I haven't opened it yet. This is weird if you don't know what this is. Okay, yerba mate is an energy drink, and it's like this. It's like organic stuff made from like it's whatever that type of caffeine is that they take out of. It's like whatever it is, right?
Powering?
I forgot what it's. This is like really diverting from what we were talking about, but
Yeah,
I'll
no,
cover
no
it real
worries.
quick.
It'll come full circle. But like what? I think it originates
Yeah.
from South America in
Oh
like
yeah, right.
Argentina,
That's yeah.
Uruguay,
Mhm.
Brazil. There is like a yerba mate plant, and it's kind of like a little shrub tree type thing. And they take the leaf, they dry it out, they grind it up into this fine powder, and I guess they can like can it, and or like they have some process, and they can sell like a canned product that doesn't have any sediment in it or any like leaf. But the kind that they typically traditionally drink in South America in kind of the gaucho culture is it's more like a tea where you have this like very fine powder loose leaf that you put into a gourd, you fill it with hot water, and you dip it through like a metal straw with a sieve at the end. Um, so yeah, actually, so going back to that, I did live in Brazil for 2 years after my freshman year, before my sophomore year. Um, and I don't want to get too much into religion because I've been kind of through a journey of my own with regards to religion, and things have changed over the years. But at the time, I decided to serve like a mission for my church, which was 2 years away from home, living in a foreign country, and kind of talking to people about church related stuff. And like I said, I've gone through a number of different religious changes, and like I don't want to talk too much about that. But living in Brazil was a really eye-opening experience for me, I guess. Learning a new language, learning to interact with people of a completely different culture from mine who have different ways of thinking from me, but also seeing the ways in which we think similarly. And so that was like the real big blocker for me making music. It was 2 years away from my laptop, my computer, technology, that kind of thing. I didn't have the time
Oh,
or the
so it was like
resources to make
full
music.
anti-tech.
Right. Yeah, it was like I could go to an internet house once a week and send an email to my parents. But
Cool.
aside from that, like we were really just focusing,
Where in
So-
Brazil were you?
So it's the southernmost state of Brazil called Rio Grande do Sul. It's on the border of Uruguay and Argentina. And yeah.
I know people in
So
Sao
I spent
Paulo.
2 years down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
my mom used to live in Sao Paulo actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Man.
I've been to
I didn't know
visit. Yeah, my wife's aunt lives there, and we went and stayed with her aunt for a week. Yeah, it's a nice place.
Did you do
great
any
country,
Brazilian
nice
jiu-jitsu
people.
while you were down there?
I did not. I did not know. Unfortunately,
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I know, missed opportunity. I was always more of a runner than martial arts. So
Dude, can you give me a good like yerba mate ad in Portuguese?
yerba mate, like an advertisement for yerba mate.
Yeah, like this shit's really good. Something,
Okay.
While I open it, let's do it.
Yeah. Toma chimarrão, quente, não frio, sem açúcar, faz bem para a saúde, te acorda, te mantém acordado durante o dia, faz a sua barba crescer bem grande. So, yeah. So
Yerba
basically,
mate.
just
That shit's pretty good.
yeah, drink.
That's pretty good actually.
Well,
You were only there for 2 years?
Yeah, yeah.
That was dope. That was cool.
So yeah, I did take some Portuguese classes afterwards as well, but
Ah.
I think I got to fluency when I was living there. It took about 6 months, but it was just full on immersion. Like speaking with people who didn't speak any English at all. I just kind of had to go with it. Yeah.
I was gonna
That must
say
be
I
scary,
took
dude.
like 3 years of Spanish classes in school and can't still speak any Spanish.
Yeah, I can't
fluently.
either.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was
So
there,
anyway,
like,
that's kind of my story. And like,
So go ahead.
go ahead. Oh yeah, just to cap it off, like when I got back, I focused more on my studies. Still had a good time with my friends and stuff, but I think after the 2 years out, I was just really like wanting to go and make a couple songs. So I went and busted out Perfect Storm and Vindication, and from that point on, things got so busy, like focusing on my classes. I had computer science labs. We had to like do these programming assignments, and it just took the rest of like all of my energy.
I just cheated through those, man.
Yeah,
That's what you're supposed to do.
I have an interesting question about that. Has your experience in Brazil bled into any of your music?
I mean, it's bled into some of my musical taste, but I wouldn't say it's bled into like I have some song ideas that I've kind of kept on my computer, hoping that someday I would finish them. I wouldn't say it's bled into my music in that sense, but you know, I've discovered some artists that I like in Brazil, and would listen to a little bit of Brazil music here and there. And I also love bossa nova. You know, it's kind of that cross section between jazz and Brazilian music.
Oh, dude, you know what I've been on right now? Dude, I have been on city pop like you wouldn't believe. I recently discovered Toshiki Kadomatsu. Holy shit, that dude is great. Dude,
cool.
I mean, you know what we should do?
I haven't heard him.
We should all recommend each other like 2 or 3 songs to listen to off the air. That'd be pretty cool. I recommend some.
Yeah.
So I recommend really any song from his album called "C is a Lady." I'll link it to you after the show. But 52nd Street is really good, man. He
I'll take a listen.
Not to go on a tangent here, but Kadomatsu was one of those people who kind of pioneered the city pop genre in like the 80s. But what's your favorite music? I'd be curious to know because I don't make music.
Oh man, if anyone else wants to go first, I'm pulling up Spotify just for reference because it's very eclectic
Dimrain,
and varied.
what do we got?
So I'm married, so I'm not in control of the music that's listened to in the house or the car.
Okay.
So I listen to what I'm told.
Okay. Do you go rogue when nobody's home?
Oh yeah, hella rogue.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I go to the grocery store by myself, just so I can listen to my own music. I hope my wife isn't watching this right now.
Are you an Aldi enjoyer?
Aldi?
Do you have Aldi where you live?
Oh, where you have to pay a quarter to use the shopping cart?
Yeah.
Nah.
Dude,
they have an Aldi.
I'm a Trader Joe's fanboy. I cannot lie to you, man. I mean, it's the whitest grocery store ever made, but god damn it, I love it.
I once got some sriracha maple bacon jerky from Trader Joe's, and it was an ethereal experience.
Dude, their snacks are fucking amazing, man. Do you recommend any Trader Joe's snacks for me to try? Because I'm still going through that phase.
I can't shop there. I can't afford to shop at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's has these really good like tiny cookies. Like you can reach your hand into the bag and grab it. They're like the size of your fingernail.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I like?
Those things are good.
I like their cheese crackers and their rice cracker medley. Those are really good to me. Because I used to eat the cheese crackers like every day as a kid. I've been on their whole milk. That's what I've been doing. I just have like 2 glasses of whole milk a day. It's just good. I feel like you feel.
I grew up a 1% guy.
Yeah, I mean, I can dabble in 1%, 2%. I'm not really picky when it comes to milk, but dude, I swear, like, not to divert from music or anything, but I feel like you feel better when you eat better. I feel like you don't feel like shit.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, have you ever had those like benders where you just eat horribly and then like the next day you're just
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially like long term, you really notice a difference.
Yeah, to complement that, like I've always been interested in exercise and that kind of thing. Like when I do it a lot, I feel really good. When I don't do it, I just feel like garbage.
Dude, can we see the NightHawk gym split? Because I'm kind of I started going to the gym and it's really addicting.
It is. Yeah, I've just got a setup in my basement. I've got a
oh cool, man.
An adjustable bench with some what is it? Bowflex makes a set of adjustable dumbbells where you rotate a disc at the end and it changes the weight that it picks up.
It's like it has
Yeah,
that.
so I just do like free weight.
Free weights are good, man. They're like
yeah.
the same as machines pretty much. There's like a very there's a very like what's the word? It's such like a not. The difference is so inconsequential. I personally I go to a gym, but like it can be like you really have to like motivate yourself to actually go with anything in life.
Yeah.
I feel like we all know that pretty well.
I just don't like to drive and then wait in line to use the machine. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I got a couple.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. Yeah. I was just gonna go back to the recommendations, but we can finish this thought.
Yeah. For me, like, I actually really enjoy driving, but it's because, like, when I drive, I want to, you know? There are times where I, like, really don't want to be in traffic, but, like, I have friends in, like, Los Angeles who hate driving because it's so dense, and, like, they don't go around the canyons. Are you from California?
I like driving at night.
Driving at night's awesome, too. I mean, but, yeah, like, where I live, there's a lot of, like, back roads, a lot of really nice open roads. You can kind of have fun with it. As far as my mom is concerned, I've never sped in my life, not once. But you know, when you have a BMW, you kind of like loosen your rules a little bit there.
Oh, so you're the guy in the BMW who doesn't know how to use. So do they produce them without the signalers?
So
I'm just curious.
Personally, when I got my car, I got a turn signal delete to save weight. But whenever I get a new one, I'll probably get one with a turn signal on it. No, but yeah, that I witness that all the time. I'd like to think I'm a good driver. Like when I say I'm a BMW driver, I'm not one of those people in New York City that like swims on the highway. I don't do that. I just like have fun and like be safe. I'm like a smart driver. I'm a very defensive driver.
And take up 4 parking spaces.
Yeah. I like to park I like to park like if you're watching, I like to park like this, you know, maybe like diagonal, because you know when you drive a BMW, you have to assert dominance on people because you're better than them. And anyway,
NightHawk, are you gonna come out with a song called Tua? And there's somebody in the
Oh
chat.
my god!
I cannot.
I think the answer is no.
What?
Yes. Sorry, Cole.
Opportunity.
I know. I just feel like I'd be selling out.
What else is there to life?
God, are we getting into that? I feel bad for that girl, if I'm honest with you.
You don't have to feel bad for her. She's
doing
pretty well for herself.
Do you know why I feel bad for her? Because I feel like, what if that's just her legacy forever? What if like she just can't get out of that? Like she just tries to do anything. It's like, wait, you're the Hawk2 girl. No, I mean, yeah, she's doing fine. I mean, she's doing the podcast with like Jake Paul, so good influences there. She'll be fine.
Set up a merch store and just let the passive income roll in.
Yeah, what is it they say? No, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's right.
Especially when you're what is her name? Like Haley Gwench or something? There's no bad publicity, especially when your name is Jake Paul. Sorry, we got way off track. Music, right? That's what we're here for. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I was going to give a couple recommendations. So, I think a couple of my like all-time favorite bands, the Finns. I don't know if you've listened to any of the Finns, but they've got just a ton of good stuff.
I have not. I don't broaden my horizons too often, honestly. I'll just have YouTube. I have like YouTube mixes take care of it.
Yeah, and then one other. This is kind of in the area of jazz. So there's a group called the Pat Metheny Group. He's a guitarist.
I looked him up last night.
The song I would recommend is "Heat of the Day." So.
Oh, okay.
Heat of the Day. Actually,
you should DM that to me. I'll listen to it after.
Yeah, I think just some general concepts from Heat of the Day kind of actually played into the song Corrosion a little bit. So.
Oh, really? Dude, I was listening to a lot of your songs like 2 nights ago, just getting ready for this. And Dreamforge is really good. I also like what you
Oh,
did in
yeah.
Sun and Moon.
Thanks. Yeah.
They're really cool.
Yeah. I think like I think I like Sun and Moon more, but like songs like Dreamforge and Suspended Animation are like, to me they kind of like, I don't know, they were a little more out there, but like I don't know, they like existed in my mind and they needed to be like sublimated into a listenable form, you know? So they just like they existed before they actually existed and they just needed to be made. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Get it off your
Just
mind.
yeah. Exactly.
Oh, by the way, this yerba mate, I hate to admit it. I know I'm a salesman for them. It's just not my thing. I thought this one would be better. I don't know. I guess I'm just not a fan of like the organic way that it's canned, I guess. I just got a DM
it's cold,
from my
right?
friend.
You're drinking it cold?
Yeah, I just got a DM from my friend who loves it. I hope he's not like, fuck you. No, he's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so weird. He
like
DM'd me the second I brought it up.
I didn't even know it could be canned. Like I've only seen them in the actual, like those cups where you like make a hole and then you keep
Right.
refilling it over and over.
I would recommend it that way. Like
Yeah,
if
I'd
you like
imagine that's
tea,
better.
it's kind of similar. But you know, I gotta be a purist and advocate for unsweetened.
Do you have
know,
any
something
food that
wrong
everyone else hates that you like? Like, are you like
oh man.
are you like a beet enjoyer?
No, I don't really care much for beets. Oh, let me think.
Beet enjoyers be like, let me drink, fuck, I messed that up. Let me try it again.
I think
People who drink
vegetables are
beet juice
underrated.
be like, I love dirt water. There we go. Dude, I heard that beet juice tasting and smelling like dirt water is apparently like, it doesn't happen to everybody. Apparently that's only like a certain percentage of people that smell that and taste it, which okay, weird. I thought everybody hated them.
So it's like the asparagus pea thing.
Yeah, well, isn't that like an enzyme thing that makes that happen?
So I've heard with asparagus, there are some people that have a gene that their pee smells when they eat asparagus, and for other people it doesn't. And then there's another gene that lets you detect the smell. So
Oh, weird.
there's like,
Well, yeah, isn't smelling
it's
just like
like-
chemical reactions? That makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways.
yeah.
Dude, oh my god. I'm not even gonna get into this. Could get so weird. Because like sometimes
Yeah.
you want to be unfiltered on something like this just because it's funny, but you also don't want to have people be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah, got to keep it relatively accessible to people, right?
Well, man, I could is what I would say.
I mean,
Yeah.
Blue's already dropped a couple F-bombs, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're narrowing our audience here a little bit
I mean,
already.
like, you know what's funny about that? I asked EVW before we did that when I was like, you okay with swearing? He's like, oh yeah, sure, man. And I'm like, I don't even know why I asked that question. I try to be like very respectful and like try to get everything that could happen across, being like, because imagine if there was somebody who came on here that didn't want to say a single swear word, and I'm just sitting here like, yerba mate, shit's pretty good, and then it's just like uncomfortable for an hour. I mean, like, dude, I think about that stuff. Like, I even like, not to like talk about this, but I even will DM people who are going to come on like a day in advance. I'll be like, hey, by the way, is there anything you don't want me to bring up? Because I won't. Because, you know, awkward shit on a podcast can really get clipped around.
I was, you showed a lot of maturity, and I had a lot of respect when you asked me the same thing before I came on.
Thank you. That actually means a
your
lot.
podcast last time. Yeah, no, I think it's really important. I personally don't have anything that I'm not willing to talk about. I'm a pretty open person. I mean, so if people have questions in the comments, or if we bring people on later that want to ask questions,
I mean, the Navy thing was
fire
really
away.
cool. I remember that. It was very
The
fascinating.
Navy thing? Oh,
Yeah, you remember that?
yeah, I remember. I remember. I actually that was a watered down version. I
Oh no.
will I will just say that there's more to that story that I'm not sure is too appropriate
Right.
for the air. But yeah, that was a great time. So I want to hear about Nighthawk's name
Dude, I do
origin
too.
because so if we were ever to collab Nighthawk, I'm thinking Darkstorm 69. What do you think?
I'm down. Yeah, do it.
I wonder
Yeah,
if you would do
um,
that.
And the
Yeah,
dim.
I wanted to ask if you two were ever gonna collab because I think everyone needs to see that.
I'm not opposed to it, but it is also a matter of like actually getting back into the music first, you know?
Yeah, obviously.
So NightHawk would do the
Um,
transposing and the key changes, and he would do. no, that'd
yeah,
be really cool.
people
though.
seem to like that a lot with isolation.
I
Yeah,
challenge you to find a Dimrain song that does not have a key change.
That's a good challenge. Unfortunately, I have 2 hours to live, and so I don't think I'll be able to do that.
I mean, the entire discography is like an hour and a half, so you have time.
Is it really only that short?
Yeah, I listened to it last night. I don't know what I was preparing for by doing that, but yeah, it's like an hour and 47 minutes, I think.
I actually think it's harder to write a song that has a proper climax without a key change. It's so easy to cop out and double the chorus at the end of the song and step the chorus up, key change up, because it adds a
Right.
lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard once you get into that pattern to not do that and still feel like you have an effective climax.
yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just another tool in the tool belt, and like been around for centuries, and it's worked all the way up until now. So why change a good thing?
You know what's interesting, actually? I actually forgot about this because we were talking about yerba mate and asparagus, but I actually knew about Nighthawk. I knew about you in as early as 2018. Kugel's known about you even earlier.
Yeah, like 2016.
And
'Cause the
obviously
Perfect
you're
Storm-
familiar with GD as in like the shitstorm of attention, isolation, and other songs I've gotten. Just being like, what
Perfect
the fuck?
shitstorm.
What's going on?
The Perfect
And like
Storm.
the funny thing is,
Pretty good.
I knew about you in 2018 because there was a level that was made, and people listening here, if you've played the game for a long time, you're going to know this. There was a level called Elios by Zenith, and it used Perfect Storm. And I guess at the time, no one ever bothered to like check more of your music. It was either that or just Limbo was just right place, right time, perfect execution. Because yeah, I mean,
Corrosion
that's when I
had
remember
popularity
hearing
too.
you for the
'cause
first time. Oh, and what's that other one?
Corrosion and Chemical Imbalance. I think?
Yeah,
I
that
think
one.
chemical imbalance. I'd seen some comments on YouTube about some like I don't even know if it was Geometry Dash or if it was some other like kind of free to play game, but definitely heard chemical imbalance being used in something.
How did you figure out what was going on in GD? Like, did you one day like look at your phone and your comments or like your, you know, Newgrounds letters and you're just like, what the fuck? Was it like I think it was similar to Dimrain, right? Like Dimrain came back and was like, what the hell? Was it similar to that, or did Mindcap or somebody else reach out to you and you were like, oh, okay?
Yeah, no, actually, Minecraft. The first time we talked was a couple months ago. With I did the interview with him.
I watched that. Pretty good.
That one time. Yeah, yeah. So that was actually the first time I'd ever had any contact with Minecraft. We just kind of bumped into each other in the YouTube comment section randomly by chance. Yeah, so I think it was the Dimrain experience of, you know, you open up one day and, you know, the level had released like a week before, and all the comments are about Limbo, and you're like, what is this? And you
You
look
talk
up
about the
Limbo,
game?
Geometry
Like,
Dash.
were you like,
Yeah, exactly.
what was your immediate thought, if not GD? Was it like, what the hell Was there like a Limbo event happening somewhere and they were playing what?
I mean, they do play music when you're doing Limbo, right? So I guess there's.
I know, right?
Isn't there like a
This is
song
the new
for
Limbo
it?
music.
I swear there was a song for it. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
just
there is a song
misremembering.
for it.
Isn't there a song for like the actual game where like
Oh,
the
yeah,
bar
like-
keeps lowering?
Yeah, it's like do the limbo, limbo, limbo.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. It's like how low,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Mhm.
Well, actually, that's been
Yeah.
changed to isolation now, but whatever,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it used to be.
There's just a lot of people who are fans of doing the Limbo, and I'm happy to have been able to bring that to a new generation. So
Happy to be able to change their experience around.
I mean, like my first reaction when I saw that was like, well, it's cool that like a ton of people are hearing my music now. And I honestly didn't expect it to last as long as it has lasted. That's kind of been a surprise as well. And I think it brought back some of the feelings that I felt when I was releasing to Newgrounds. It's not the exact same thing because the proportions of comments are kind of different. Like most of the comments are about the game. There occasionally will still be some comments about the music itself, and like it kind of brings back some of those feels that I got when I was releasing music and reading people's feedback and stuff like that. And it kind of got me wanting to do another song. And I thought, like, it's been what 8-10 years since I've actually released anything. It was 2012, so it's been like 12 years by now.
That's a lot of years.
And I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to see if I could like just do it. So I've got another song, and things have been kind of crazy lately, and I just haven't had time to work on it. And I would love to finish it by the end of the year. Like I had
Was
mentioned
it
in the Minecraft
the
interview.
Dire Docs?
I was
one,
going to bring that
or-
up.
No, not that one.
I was going to
No,
ask if you
it's,
made
I
any
haven't-
headway with that.
No, I didn't make any headway, unfortunately. I just I really nailed it on that first save file that I lost.
Dimrain might not know what we're
And-
talking about. Might need to fill him in.
Yeah, I mentioned in the Mindcap interview a couple months ago that I had been working on a Super Mario 64. There's the level Dire Docks or Jolly Roger Bay.
My
That was like one of my favorite soundtracks from Super Mario. I was trying to do kind of a cover remix of that, and I got down something that I was pretty happy with. And between leaving on my mission and coming back, I lost the track. So I tried a couple times to like start from scratch, and it just didn't turn out.
Yeah.
Has that ever
So,
happened
so
to
there's
you, Dimrain?
another thing you're working on then?
Yeah. I've been working on just like an original piece.
Okay.
But yeah. I haven't dropped the name yet. I kind of want it to just be a surprise. I don't want to
That's fair.
give
yeah.
anyone any expectations of anything before I actually drop it.
I think the
Well-
bar is pretty high.
You've already announced it.
It's
so
a high
there
bar.
are already expectations.
The
There
hype is
are
already building.
expectations. There are expectations, but the moment I drop a name, then people are going to be like, "Oh, it's going to sound something like this," and I want it to just be as fresh an experience as possible.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually wonder, this is a
Yeah.
question for both of you. I don't know if I asked it to Dimrain last time he was on here, but I'm willing to bet, do you guys ever lay in bed at night trying to go to sleep and then you think of that one melody and you're like, shit. And then you get up and you like have to write it down in some way? Or are there times where like you can't get up because there's people trying to sleep and you're just like, well, that's gone. Or just like, I hope I remember that.
I've had both of those situations happen before. I purchased the Fruity Loop Studio mobile.
Is it mobile?
And
I
so
did not know that.
yeah, it's relatively feature rich. Like it's not as feature rich as the desktop version, but it's good enough. And like I've heard some sample songs that have been made on it that sound pretty good. I don't think I could do anything like that. But it's more just like to get the melody and any harmonies down, so I can reference them later. So I've definitely done that, and I've also had situations where like I had something pop into my head, and I wasn't in a scenario in which I could actually write it down, and I lost it.
How often did that happen in Brazil?
Oh man, that didn't really happen that much in Brazil, and I blame it on learning a new language. My mind was just completely occupied with like it got to the point where I eventually started having some dreams in Portuguese. But you're
Oh,
just like
Fascinating.
surrounded by a foreign language, and it just occupies all of your mental energy. So, yeah.
mhm.
I mean, more impressive than what I can do. Learning a second language is really hard, especially when you're an older in your life, because it's really easy when you're younger, right? Like
Yeah.
way
yeah.
easier to
Yeah.
just catch on to language and the lexicons and
Mhm.
stuff. I've never been in
Yeah,
Brazil.
you really
I'll tell
do
you
have
that.
to immerse yourself. Yeah, I think everyone should go on. I mean, it's a huge
Oh, I
country.
already bought the flight ticket. Like when you were talking about it, I already booked the flight.
Yeah,
I'll be in Sao Paulo
yeah. Well,
next week.
sweet.
Let's see
Yeah.
what else we got. Oh, I have a good one. Here we go. Because like, I'm not completely music illiterate. I've used FL Studio. I like Ableton more personally. I don't use it much, but that's just what I prefer, right? Everyone has their vice. So you mentioned in Mindcap's interview that since then, since the jank beginnings, you have since purchased FL Studio, and you no longer have to like use demo plugins and stuff for each section of whatever. And I was wondering, what plugins are your absolute favorites that you've used so far? Because I love the ones that replicate like the Moog synths and stuff like that, and just certain sounds and like certain ways to make sound. I just wonder, like, what's your favorite? What's your go-tos when you're making a track? Like, what has to be there, or it's not your music?
Yeah, Dimrain mentioned Citrus, and so I started out. I started out using a demo of Vanguard, and then kind of moved on to Citrus. Before any of that, I was just using all of the ones that come free with FL Studio.
Yeah, I forget what they're like.
and
Slice X, whatever the hell.
yeah,
I forget them.
yeah, I don't remember all the names. Like the 3X oscillator. They have a couple presets that you can use that have different sounds.
Sound
So I think
Goodizer.
like those were the Sound Goodizer. I have used that. Yeah.
That's funny.
So Harmer and Harmless are interesting as well. I've incorporated them into a couple of different like samples of songs that may someday in the next year or so be finished. But I stuck mostly to Citrus. It's huge. Like there's tons of different presets. And what I would really
Yeah.
love if I like ideal situation, I wish I could just become a self-sustaining millionaire or billionaire so I don't have to work and I could focus all my time on things that I find interesting. And then I would
Exactly.
go back and learn how to like actually create the sounds that I envision in my head in a synth just from scratch and like learn how to master. I just don't have the time
I
to
have a
learn
solution for you,
sound
NightHawk.
design.
I don't know if you've heard of this. This might be like a secret, but I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
give it to you.
Yeah, let's
Spend
do it.
all of your money on lottery tickets.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Gambling is really good, by the way.
I thought you were gonna say what is it? GameStop stock?
I was gonna keep that one
That's
secret,
a throwback.
Okay.
You also, you're leaking my strategies. Come on. We literally, I specifically talked about this before the show, and I think you just slipped up. We're gonna have to cut that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I mean, dude, being rich sounds fun. As long as you have ambitions, you're not going to be depressed. As long as you have a reason to get up and do something, you're good.
I have so many like personal projects in different areas that I would love to have time to work on, and I just don't have enough time to do it all.
Yeah.
I could keep myself busy for years.
Do you find a good mental balance in being so busy? Like it keeps you sane? Because I feel like for me, that's what it's like. Because whenever I'm not doing something, it's just like boring and I'm kind of sad. like not doing the podcast, for example. Like when we skip a week, I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's a variety thing. And so, maybe I'll spend a month on one thing and then I'll like switch to another thing the next month and like end up dipping my fingers into a lot of different areas, but not actually finishing all of them. So, like, I don't know, like maybe 1 month I'll be working on like the NightHawk22 website, and then I'll get tired of it, and I'll work a little bit on the NightHawk22 music. Then I'll get tired of that, and then I will play the new Zelda game that just came out, and then I'll get tired of that, and I'll like go into 3D modeling and printing, and then I'll get tired of that and work on, you know, circuitry and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Sounds kind of similar to me. Like a lot of the time I get a lot of like motivation to do something, but it's in short bursts. Like I burn out really easily, and then I lose interest, and then I move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it could be hard
during that
to
week,
find a way.
Yeah, like during that week, I'm like really into it. For example, like if it's a week or whatever, and then I kind of like completely taper off after that.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, my current project is like I'm trying to turn a fan into a smart fan.
Oh,
so I
Like-
bought
like
this
controlling your
little.
phone?
Yeah, so there's an open source smart home like that you can host on your own servers that you own called
Oh,
Home
yeah.
Assistant, and there's some plugins you can integrate with different third-party systems. So I've been working on building just a little circuit that will it's just like the dumbest reason. Like I've got a fan down in front of my treadmill that I turn on when I run just to keep the air circulating and keep things cool. And I want to be able to turn it on with my voice. So I plugged it into a smart switch, and the smart switch turns it on and off, but you actually still need to press a button on the body of the fan to turn the fan on. So it's like receiving power, but you still need to press the button. So if you power cycle it, then you need to press the button again to turn it on. So I've been designing this little chip that connects via Wi-Fi, and like I want it to be able to trigger button presses on the fan, so I don't have to do that, and I can just hook it up to voice. That's the current project I've been working on, and when I get tired of that, I'll probably move on to something else.
Do you want to talk about some Dimmer shit? How do you guys feel about, both of you, how do you guys feel about modern technology and like everything collecting your data and everything connecting to the internet? Are you guys tired of that by now, or is it just me?
I have an Alexa, and I hate that thing. First of all, it's just a terrible product. Half the time, it doesn't even execute the command you give it. And yeah, it sits there and with the microphone on all the time, and just mines your data. I take a little comfort in knowing that, I mean, if it's this bad at executing my commands, it can't really be collecting my data that well, can it? I mean,
yeah, it's just inaccurate data.
Yeah, the language model seems really poor. I don't have any experience with anything other than the Amazon Alexa product. But yeah, no, it's pretty bizarre. Like you'll talk about dog food, then you go on Facebook and you'll see dog food ads. It's like,
yes.
Pretty annoying, yeah.
Yeah, it's and so I also I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago, Facebook like released this like an announcement or something, and basically saying, hey, if you want to turn off like data collection on your account or whatever, you can. We're going to collect your data, and if you want to turn that off, you can. You go into this setting, you turn this button off. But your ads are not going to be relevant to your interests anymore. So we collect your data, and we're going to use that to give you relevant advertisements on your feed. Right. And so I went in and I turned that off. And so now I get the most random and irrelevant, weirdest shit on my feed. And I'll be scrolling through and my wife will be like peeking over my shoulder, like, what are you looking at? You know, like some sort of weird, I don't know, anime stuff will show up. I'm not firing on anime.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm just saying. It's
yeah,
like
I got those
weirdest
too.
shit. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I don't know. Maybe it's not just me, but it just makes Facebook as an application just so much less appealing.
Yeah,
it's on like every platform
stuff, right?
too. Yeah,
and it's like play for free. It's stuff like that.
You see it on like Twitter and YouTube a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I get that on YouTube, like on my phone.
Yeah.
Like it's like, what the fuck? Fuck, man.
I know it's like a new thing that I've noticed. I don't like. I think they're just paying for Google ads or something, and
Just gooner bait, pretty much, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
They've monetized the shit out of the platform,
Mhm.
and it's just just leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth, to the point where it's like I don't even really want to go on Facebook or X
You
a
know what's
lot anymore
really bad
because
right now?
I'm bombarded.
The car market is really bad with that, with like data collection and like right to repair legislation and stuff like that. It's real
Wasn't
bad
it
with cars.
I
'Cause,
just
like,
have ad block, honestly. Like, I
wasn't
guess
it BMW who made you subscribe to use your seat warmer?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
and
heard
it,
about
I
that.
think you could just remove the relay in the fuse box, and the seats would still work.
You know,
But
maybe
like that's the
maybe
thing. Like,
I'm
what the fuck? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I could be misunderstanding some aspect of the situation, but I remember there was some kind of natural disaster in Florida. I think probably
yeah,
a hurricane
hurricane.
a couple
Mhm.
years back, and Tesla like they unblocked the like range of the cars so that they could all go further on the same amount of electricity. It's like you
Why is
should
that
be
even
paying for the
fair?
hardware, not for a software block, you know?
Yeah,
Any car that can remotely deactivate itself from a server, forget it. Just forget it. Like, what if that's. Oh, yeah, and doesn't Ford now on like some new cars, didn't they patent some technology that'll track your miles per hour and then adjust your insurance rates because of it? Like,
I don't know
what
about
is
that, but I do know
that?
that there are some like insurance companies that you can opt into their program where like it'll track your speed
yeah.
on your phone,
Mhm.
and if you're going the right speed, they lower your rates. But maybe there's
I've
like
seen that
a built-in
before.
one to the car. I don't know about that.
I did some research on this, and I think like food delivery apps do that too. Like if you're a driver, but like the thing is, they're so bad at it. It almost feels like it's on purpose because a lot of people will drive fine, and they'll just be like going through bumper to bumper traffic or like a stoplight or something. And like apparently these stupid ass programs will always just say you're braking too hard, this, and like they're not even doing it. And it's made people think like, is this intentional to make my insurance rates higher or something? Like it wouldn't surprise me, not to like go on a rant, but like car companies have also realized in the last like 10 years, wait a minute, what if we just make our cars slightly worse and last not as long to make more money?
Well, like
Boom.
planned
Yeah.
obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence.
I swear
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist or anything, but has anyone else noticed that?
I mean, that'll
Oh,
happen
it's for sure a thing.
once
Yeah.
Apple gets into the car market.
I
That'll
don't even
happen.
feel like it's a conspiracy
That's
theory,
Tesla.
honestly.
Dude, people made that joke. It's like Tesla's just if Apple made cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I take pride in having an older car. Like again, though, there's nothing wrong with having like if you want a new car, just buy one. That's why the market still exists. There's always gonna be people to buy them, but it's just not something I would do because I like tinkering and I like wrenching. I like getting in my car and like fixing things myself. I think that's part of the fun. You learn shit, you know. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with that. Maybe you've gotten a flat tire. Maybe if you had to fix something in your engine bay, whatever, new battery, whatever, right? Like it can be annoying depending on what you do and who you are, but I think it's fun to learn and not have the whole car remotely deactivate because like an O2 sensor is out. Are you kidding me?
You can definitely save a lot of money that way. I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of money they'll charge you to change like the cabin filter, kind of crazy.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny that you mentioned that because I changed the oil in my car recently. And whatever shop changed the oil in my car last, they lost my drain plug for my oil pan. And like they were using a random bolt and it stripped some of the threads in the oil pan. So I had to buy it. So like mid oil change, right? We emptied all the oil out and we replaced the filter. And I was like, I'm not putting this plug back on because it sucks. And so I had to rush order like a better one, a nice magnetic one with proper threading. And I had to finish the oil change days later.
Dang.
That just sucks, man. I mean, like it could have been worse, but that kind of shit when it happens to you, it just makes you think like what else could be happening? Like what else is fucked up? Shops will do that to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have
Gotta-
experience with that.
I gotta step away for just a sec. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
good. We can take a small break if you want to like use the bathroom and such if you need it. No problem.
Yeah, I'm good for now. I mean, I'm happy to keep going.
Let me see.
Sure.
What,
Also happy to wait till he gets back.
I'm reading something. Have y'all seen that we invented light bulbs that last practically forever decades ago, and a bunch of light bulb companies banded together and agreed not to sell them so people would keep buying them? I have not heard about that, and I have not looked that up, so I cannot confirm the validity of your statement, but it wouldn't surprise me. Have
Yeah,
you
it
dealt
wouldn't
with anything
surprise
like
me
this
either.
before?
Like with the car situation?
I mean, just like generally, just like, I mean, obviously, you've probably been fucked over in some capacity by something, right?
I mean,
But,
this
like-
is like a super, like, not a huge deal example, but like, I remember a year ago, egg prices were skyrocketing in the supermarkets near where I live,
Yeah.
and there was no egg shortage. They had just banded together to, raise the prices so that they would make more profit.
Is anyone else fearing an economic recession, or is it just me?
I
Well,
mean,
you know, it's
inflation's
also
been
bad, man.
continuing.
The housing market. Be glad if you
Housing
bought a
market is
house 20
crazy.
years ago.
Yeah, I bought in 2019, and it was the right time for the area where I'm living. House
At least
prices
it's
have
good
just
to know that like
skyrocketed.
you have something you can fall back on if you need to sell it and downsize. I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's comforting there. Like that would suck, right?
It is.
Like just paying it off, and it's like, fuck, now I have to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, home ownership is a hassle, though. There's so many hidden costs that you don't think about beforehand.
Do you have an HOA where you live? Not to get like weirdly personal, because I don't.
Oh, it's all good. No, there's no HOA.
Oh,
and
thank God.
in some ways, I'm glad, but in other ways,
Mm.
an HOA can be a lifesaver because, like, the I don't know.
Can't they like cover
Like,
stuff that breaks if you have homeowners insurance?
It depends. It depends, and they also make sure that everyone is kind of like quote unquote playing nicely. Like our neighbors, we're kind of in a new area that used to be just undeveloped land, and we bought. We built the house with the company we bought from, and our first set of neighbors that moved in, they had like, I kid you not, like 12 cars for the one house. And
God,
they
what
were
the
just like
hell?
sprawled out all over the entire cul-de-sac. And we would have people come over and they would have no place to park. And
How
if
many
you have
people
an
live in
HOA,
that
they
house?
can,
What the fuck?
yeah, they can at least like, I don't know, they can at least say, hey, you can have that many cars, but like park them in different places. Make sure everyone has like a spot in front of their house where they can have
That
guests
is a good
park.
thing.
But
I
yeah,
mean, it's-
HOAs, I've heard too many horror stories too.
You know what I heard one time? I read that like if you threaten to have like a huge like radio antenna satellite placed in your yard, apparently there's some HOA exemption where they can't touch it, and then they'll get off your dick or something. I read that somewhere, and I thought that was really funny. So it's like,
Huh.
I mean, like again though, there's gonna be people that are listening to this being like, why are they failing to? Listen. I think it's good if an HOA exists to keep everybody's property properly valued and keep everybody in check a little bit. But some of the shit is a little ridiculous. Like, I get it, right? You can't have a bouncy house in your front yard in a nice gated neighborhood, or else it will make the property somehow less money. But it's like, on the contrary, it's like, what if that's going to be there for like 3 days? What if we're doing like some event? Because, like, where my parents live, the HOA, like, the people who live there, they're really snobby about that kind of stuff. We can't even leave our garage door open for, like, an hour. Well, that's an exaggeration. But, like, they're really cutthroat about it in certain places.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, like, somebody's garbage can was visible from like, the front of the house.
Dude, we get
and
that,
it was
too.
in the back of the house, and, like, they got a complaint. So yeah, I guess I would probably rather live without an HOA than with one. But my parents live on the other side of the country from me, and the HOA that they have like is not too crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
as long
not
as you
like
live in
too
a good area.
radical. Yeah, yeah, and it provided a swimming pool during the summer, and like I
Yeah,
was
there
on the
we
swim
go.
team and spent all of my summer days there. So I have some good memories provided by the HOA, I guess.
I mean,
It
yeah,
just
you're right
depends on
about that.
who's in
There's
power.
a swimming pool in my parents' neighborhood too. There you go. You forget about stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. It
Wait,
just depends
Is
on
Dimrain back?
who's in charge.
yeah, I think
Welcome
he's back.
back. We're
I
talking
mean,
about scary
he
adult
unmuted.
stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, now that I think
Mortgages,
about it, it actually is a
HOAs.
good thing that they exist, as long as they're not corrupt. I mean, we
Yeah,
could go. We
yeah.
could get
You'll
into some
hear.
really hot shit. Like, what's funny? Where I live, this is gonna get. I'm all for a police reformation, right? Is this a hot take? Like, as long as they are a non-corrupt force in your town and society, it should be fine. Like, we don't need to get rid of them all. This is very old news, but that made me think about that when we were thinking about HOA and like just non-corrupt places of the world. I mean,
Oh
but it's
yeah,
hard.
like
Like, mm,
there's good police and there's bad police, and like I don't hate police, but I do think that there needs to be higher accountability in general. And if you live in a place where there is high accountability, that's great, but that's not the case everywhere. There are cases of police abuse of power and
yeah, and that
and
shit
um,
sucks.
brutality and stuff like that. We definitely need to do something about that. And that's not to say all police are the problem. There are some nice and good police out there, but it's the bad ones that ruin the whole thing. So reform is the way that problem gets solved, then I don't know. We need to find some way to fix the problem.
You know what I think? Not to get political or anything, but I think our country. You're in the U.S., so I'm assuming. I think our
Yeah.
country's too big for our own good, to be honest. Like it's good and bad because like people say like we're one of the only remaining superpowers in the world because of how big our country is, and we have a lot of like valuable resources because of how big we are. But I think that's also a detriment because we're so big.
You mean big by population or by
I think big by
Ge-
landmass and
Landmass.
population. Yeah, like both. I think like it's hard to moderate. It's hard to like properly deal with a country that large, right? I mean, is it not just me?
Do you think
I
Canada?
think like
Canada has its own. I have friends who really bitch about Trudeau. I don't know what he's doing, but apparently it's not good.
It's
I
also
can't
like a
tell
huge
you.
I
I just
think
want to
like
hear.
population density discrepancy in the U.S. Like, I think in like Midwest, there's like a really low. Like, there are areas that were basically you have almost nobody there, and then you have other areas that are like almost overpopulated.
By the way, for those listening, Kugel lives in Canada, so he could probably tell
Yeah,
us
I
about
do.
this.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not like I'm aware of a lot of the issues, but I'm not like super invested into politics or whatever. Where I live,
yeah,
even.
You'll be
I get
helpful
you.
that way.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I would just say
exhausting.
like the the most that I want to go into politics is just to say that I think that there's too much polarization. I think that everybody needs to step back and see the human in each other, and and we need to work together for the common good. And I understand it's hard when people disagree what the common good is, but I think we really dehumanize people when we other them and label them as like, oh, you're in the other party, you're not, you're part of them, you're part of the problem. Like everyone's part of the problem. Let's just fix it.
Yeah.
Political demonization.
Doesn't
Yeah.
like doesn't the Arizona iced tea company purposefully not make their tea more expensive because they're like, we make enough money, it's fine.
That's
That
I
really
don't
kind of
know, but
shit
if they do,
seeks
that's great.
admiration.
Mhm.
That's very
Yeah.
admirable. There's also
By
like,
the
isn't it a thing for hot sauce too? Something like that. Now imagine if car
I don't know.
companies did that.
By the way, on the topic of music, this is something I kind of
Yeah, we
wanted to
got way
ask
off
earlier.
track.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if either of you could like, if you had the time to just learn an instrument that you haven't already, which one would it be now? You know, like I don't know if like in hindsight maybe there was something that you wish you would have learned or something.
That's a good question. So I play piano, I play saxophone. I haven't played in a while, but like when I'm like thinking about intervals between notes, like the way that I do it in my head is like I do the saxophone fingerings in my head to like minor third, major third. I do that on like a mental saxophone. That's kind of like my strongest instrument. And then I play a little bit of guitar. I would love to be able to play like, I don't know. I think it would be cool to play trumpet. Or I've debated so many times internally buying a theremin, and I got really close one time, and I was in college, and they're like $200, and that was a lot for me at the time. And
Well,
yeah,
you
go ahead.
don't have an HOA, so you can
I
definitely
don't have an HOA.
play the theremin.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it would be cool to learn how to play the theremin.
It's only acceptable to play the theremin 1 month out of the year, and that's October. So I think you've got the opportunity here. Yeah. For me, viola. I actually own a violin, and I on my own in my college years tried to teach myself, but just getting busy and everything didn't really stick to it, and didn't really go anywhere with it other than just kind of the fundamentals. But sometimes I see some viola players, and viola is like a large violin, right?
Yeah.
It's not quite like a double bass or a cello, like an instrument that you need to play sitting down. But it can hit some really deep, warm, low notes, and it can get up into the similar ranges that a violin can. And I don't know, it when I hear a really good viola or violin player who really knows what they're doing with a really good piece of music, it tickles my pickle pretty hard. It's something I wish I had always learned. But I played trumpet all through middle and high school. NightHawk, I don't know if you know this, but
I didn't know that. That's cool.
it's not that cool. Trumpet's pretty dorky. Okay,
Okay.
You only have 3 buttons, or they call them valves,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of toxic kind of superiority complex that goes around with trumpet players.
I can
So if you're
attest to
playing
that.
in a
I was
group
in
setting-
band.
Did you play trumpet?
I played the baritone, which also has like it's very similar. Just the notes are different on sheet
Yeah, I know
music.
what a baritone is. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, trumpet players. So trumpet is the highest brass instrument, maybe save for like maybe a piccolo trumpet, but just general category. The trumpet is the highest registered brass instrument, right? So the trumpet players always get the melodies, and they always get the loud parts. A baritone player, like when was the last time you heard a baritone solo? Be honest.
True. Well, I mean, when I was practicing for like a concert to an audience of no one.
Because of that, when I was in school as a trumpet player, it was just so competitive because if you're in the trumpet section, you have to fight to get that first chair or second chair so that you could play the melodies. It's like the melody for the entire piece. So it was really competitive. It destroyed a lot of friendships, at least in my experience, and it was somewhat toxic.
Jesus, destroying
friendships. I experienced a little of that in the saxophone section. I don't know why. I was the first chair sax for alto sax for a couple of years, and there was this one person who I guess like just didn't like that I was the first chair, and they kept on like challenging me. We had a challenge system where you could challenge someone for their chair, and like every opportunity that they had, they would challenge me, and it just felt a little too cutthroat for me. It's like I just want to enjoy playing music.
Yeah. So in high school, the staff, like the directors, they encourage that kind of fierce competition mentality. I don't know if you had a similar experience, but
they didn't really encourage it, but I can see how they would think like, oh, if people are practicing really hard to try to get first chair, then we'll have a better quality. Yeah. But like, don't encourage drama, especially in high school. That's a really hard time for so many people.
Yeah.
I never took band in high school. You know why? I took band in middle school, and they were like, "Oh, that counts as a high school credit." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then I
Oh no.
didn't play band anymore. Honestly, I love
I
music,
only ever
but
played piano,
no.
but I did wish that I learned the violin, which is part of why I asked that. I never considered viola though, but now that you mention it, that does also sound pretty interesting.
I
Yeah,
tell you
look
what,
this
those
up.
fretless instruments, that's got to be so hard. Like I have a hard enough time on guitar, and it's because I picked it up as an adult. But like, there are so many different ways to play the same note. You can play it on a different string, but like in a different position. So like, I just imagine a fretless instrument like a violin or viola. Um, that would be even more difficult because you just got to find the perfect spot to keep your
Yeah.
note in tune.
You have more control. You can slide
That's true.
and
You
on
can
a
do vibrato.
yeah, you could do that on guitar too. That's always what drove me
Yeah.
away from guitar is what you just mentioned. It's like, okay, I come from a piano background as well.
Yeah.
And okay, how do I play, C5? This is how you play it. Here's the key. You push it, right?
Right.
With guitar, you have potentially 6 options. If you're
Mhm.
playing a 6-string guitar. How do you play this chord? Well, it depends on the inversion. It
Oh
depends
yeah.
on what voicings you want in there. It's just too complicated for me. So actually, if I were to add a second instrument to my list of instruments I learned to play really well, it would be guitar. Because first of
Okay.
all, like if you can shred guitar, you're getting so many chicks. Like, let's just be honest. Your life is gonna be so much easier. And it's not just that, dude. You can be so impressive on a guitar. It's just for some reason in our culture, it's such like a boon to your impression making ability if you can play guitar. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a leftover thing from like the huge arena rock bands of the 80s or something. But if you can play guitar, for some reason, when you meet people for the first time, they're instantly impressed. But they're not as impressed if you say that you play the piano
Yeah,
or any other
no one
instrument.
cares if you play piano. I mean, I
Right.
think it's also because it's a really common thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So with piano, it's easier to play a note.
Hmm.
You have one possibility, right? Without getting too complex. There's one key to play this pitch. And it's much simpler to get the note to sound correct than a string instrument or a fretted instrument like guitar.
Right.
On guitar, you have a fretting hand and you have a strumming hand. And you have to combine 2 different motions to get the note out. You have to put your left hand, if you're right-handed, you put your left hand on the correct fret, you pluck the correct string in your right, and here's the note. And it's not even that simple. You have to like actually fret it correctly to not have it sound like shit.
Hmm.
With piano, it's much easier to get that note to come out cleanly. You just push the key. It's the simplest thing in the world. My cat does it all the time.
Right.
Now
But
imagine with the accordion.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
But with that simplicity, that really simple difficulty to enter into the world of piano music, because it's so easy to learn and so easy to play, the higher echelons of piano music. You're a classical music guy. You have a classical music and jazz music background, right, NightHawk? Some
Yeah.
of the highest echelons of jazz and classical music on piano can get incredibly complex.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I studied classical music in college, and I I played music from every kind of subgenre of classical music. When you say classical music, people think it's like one big group of music that was written for a couple hundred years, and it's actually not. There's several subcategories of classical music, like Baroque, Romantic, Impressionist. But
Mhm.
Baroque music is just insane.
Oh.
Polyphonic music written on the clavinova, the piano, and the harpsichord is
Mhm.
hands down the hardest music I've ever had to learn how to perform. There's a silly meme about classical pianists and what their hands look like.
I love
But
Baroque though. Yeah.
yeah, for Bach, it was like the meme showed just like a robot's fingers. And if I might be getting too into the weeds here, but have you ever played any Baroque style music, Nighthawk, or any Bach at all?
I never got to that level of performance with piano, but I have sung Bach, and yeah, I will say Baroque, like Renaissance music, is among my favorite to sing. I love just the polyphonic sound.
At least
Yeah.
some of the invention pieces that Bach wrote, you have literally 4 to 6 voices, independent voices at the same time,
Mhm.
between your 10 fingers on 2 hands. It was maybe I'm overblowing this, but it was like it was harder for me to prepare and master like a 60-second Baroque style piece on the piano than it would be for me to like prepare for a triathlon. It was just so much more dedication and frustration and that cycle of hate and happiness you have with yourself when you're trying to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
It almost knocked me out of the game. It was that difficult. And it was great because I learned that and performed that for a semester. And I went to Dire Docs and I was like, oh, this is child's play. Like this makes everything else seem so easy. So I guess that was an advantage of that. But Baroque
Yeah.
music is absolutely insane.
But I don't know where I heard this from, but I think I recall hearing that you're also like a piano teacher,
I was
or
a
you
piano
were.
teacher for 13 years.
I mean, he taught
I
Nighthawk.
yeah, I was a piano teacher for 13 years. I started in college. When I was going to school for college, it was an easy way to make extra money. And
Mhm.
then it kind of turned into like a mini career as I got more and more students, and I got more and more recommendations from my current students. To kind of turned into a full-time thing. And then I switched over to tech. Went back to school for computer science in like 2016 or so. Worked full time when I went back to school. Got my degree in 2019, and ended up getting a job in construction of all places.
He built
A
Nighthawk's
month
house,
before,
if you're wondering.
I was in HVAC controls, so
Oh, cool.
it's a really niche kind of trade within the construction industry. But I got this job a month before COVID hit, so it was like in February of 2020, and I barely escaped because I mean, you can imagine COVID shut down everything, right? Like you could
Yeah.
not go to your parents' house like in the early days, right?
Mhm.
My business would have been shut down completely. I would have been completely unemployed. 13 years of clientele just out the window in a matter of weeks because of COVID. But luckily, I switched into a different industry a month before the COVID lockdowns hit in March of 2020. So I barely, narrowly escaped that. Worked in construction for about 2 years. Learned a lot. Hated it. You ever had to use a porta potty in 115-degree heat?
No, thank you.
Can't
No.
say I have.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So
sound fun.
I learned a lot. A lot about the construction industry. I appreciate construction workers a whole hell of a lot more. The
Oh,
amount of
yeah.
work and planning that goes into building just like a simple house even is incredible these days. The quality is super high. Did a really brief stint in manufacturing. I worked for a company that produced COVID-19 test kits. And that was horrible, mainly because of the hours. I was working 12-hour overnight shifts from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 3 to 4 days a week.
Oof.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was awful. I don't even remember. Like I was just so zombified from that time. I don't even really remember what it was like. I see pictures on my phone from back then. I'm like, damn, I don't even remember this because I was just so out of it. I can't believe I didn't wreck my car on the way home. Like at the end of the day. But from that point, I got really lucky. Got pulled into the tech consulting industry, and now I work for a tech company doing platform engineering. I'm interested to hear what you do, Nighthawk, with your CS degree.
Yeah. So I actually started working at a company, technology company, it's software as a service, as an intern between my junior and senior year. And I was fully planning on going back to my campus job. It was also a programming job on campus, but it didn't pay nearly as well as my internship. They offered me a part-time position at the place where I interned after my internship ended, basically for me to just stay on as a part-time engineer, and I accepted it. Went full-time after I graduated in 2016, and I had applied to several different places, and eventually, I guess my thought process was I like my coworkers, I like the things I'm working on, and this doesn't require me to move. So I just decided to stick around, and I've been there ever since, actually. So I'm coming up on 9.5 years now, I guess, at the place where I'm at. I've been on essentially the same team the whole time, and I've kind of worked my way up through the ranks, so to speak. Like I started as just a software developer entry level position, and as my I guess I had kind of a senior colleague there who had started a couple years before me, and as he kind of started taking on more leadership responsibilities and like managing more teams, he needed my help to manage the team that I was on at the time. So I kind of went into technical leadership, planning projects, and like when they would happen during the quarter, and making sure all the little details were aligned, and then also heavily contributing to the development of the software. And then kind of transitioned to a management role where I'm managing a couple of software teams and do a little bit of development on the side related to the teams that I'm managing. And I'm enjoying things. I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold on being in management for the rest of my career, but I figured it was a good opportunity to take to see if I enjoyed it. And more opportunities will probably come in the future to jump back into strictly development if that's something that I decide I want to do. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And it's been a lot of fun. Met a lot of different people at my job over the years. Some have come, some and gone, and some have stayed for longer. And I've made some good friends there. So if any of you are listening, or you do listen in the future, thanks for being great friends, and stay in contact. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. Web app development for an internal facing team. So we don't actually work on the products that we sell to customers. We work on systems that support workflows that are used by other teams and employees around the company. So yeah.
Cool.
Why did I feel like I'm at work right now?
I probably just dropped a bunch of jargon. Yeah.
This counts as work for me, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid.
So one thing that I always tell kids when they say, I want to be a game developer. Okay. Then you better get really good at the English language. 90% of my job as, I'm not a software engineer. I'm a platform engineer, but I do some coding. 90% of my job is communication with people. It's not technical skills. Like, I feel like a technical skill, anyone can really, most people, at least under the standard bell curve, can learn these technical skills. But not everyone's good at communicating with other people professionally.
Yeah.
And communicating effectively, I should say. It's crazy to me going through college, getting a computer science degree, and learning about assembly language, and automatons, and statistics, and Calc 3, and physics. I don't use any of that shit in my day-to-day. You know what I use? I have to write emails properly. I have to use the correct diction. I have to make sure that I effectively communicate my point without offending anyone. That's the hardest part. When you're communicating via text, emails or direct messages Microsoft Teams or Slack or whatever the tool that you're using, it's really easy to misinterpret tone through text.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no emphasis. Well, there is a little bit, but no, there's not.
And on top of that, I would also say like you have to empathize and try to think about what the person that you're communicating with, like what background they have, what they
Mhm.
understand, and like try to speak to their communication style. So there's a lot of empathy involved too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And-
And they don't teach you any of this in college.
Right,
Like-
and I think like a lot of people who are into technology sometimes think like I'm just going to focus on programming, and they don't realize that they are going to have to do a lot of communication.
Hmm.
Right.
makes
So
sense.
I had a family member, a young cousin who wants to be a game developer. My son wants to be a game developer. And I tell them, like, okay, you got to go get a computer science degree because that's like the de facto standard. It's really, really hard nowadays to even get into the job market without a bachelor's degree at a minimum.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you have to work on your communication skills. Like English and social studies and interpersonal communication are the number one skill, ironically, in tech. And it's just it's always a blow, a shock to people when I tell them that who are looking to get into technology. Like don't
I will
study
also
math.
go ahead. You can finish with that.
No. I mean, it's just it's very surprising to me, how different the work life is in the tech field.
Yeah, I mean, I think this extends to like anything that involves like working in a team for a project, you know, like because you could be obviously really competent, but if you can't, like, if
Play
you're
nice.
out of place, you know,
Yeah.
it's they don't want you there.
Makes sense to
My
me.
point is that it's just this aspect of work life, maybe not even just in tech, right? Just kind of in general, isn't taught to you. At least it wasn't taught to me in college, high school, or otherwise.
Same. Yeah. And I would say that as the software development manager, a lot of the feedback that I give to people is around communication with other people, making sure you're actually doing it, making sure you're doing it effectively, and, you know, trying to mitigate cases of miscommunications and misunderstandings.
I mean, dude, in high school we had financial literacy. That shit was more helpful than a lot of stuff that I
didn't even
learned
get
in high
that.
school.
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't
never
either.
had
Dude, we had
anything
to
like
learn
that.
Excel. Like we learned the whole 9 yards, man. I can't remember much from Excel, but I learned it. It showed you how to do taxes, how to like, you know, how to actually be an accountant on like a very surface level. It was really cool stuff. Pretty helpful. I mean, in my adult life, I use Google Sheets, but that's kind of the extent of it. I don't really use Excel or anything. But it is like nice that high schools are actually offering those classes now. Because I bet when you guys were in school, that didn't exist. I'm willing to bet.
No,
you're
no,
right.
that did not exist. Like there was like a career class that was like it was called career explorations. Sorry about that. And essentially they were just like trying to get you to think about different potential careers that you could have someday when you graduate. And I feel like it was very bare bones. It didn't really go super in depth, and it wasn't super helpful. But at least it was a start. We didn't have a ton of other instruction in areas that just really like nobody's preparing for you. Like most people have to rely on their parents, like teaching them budgeting and teaching them like,
Right.
hey, when you make money, you should save some and make sure you have some for a rainy day and don't just spend it all from one paycheck to the next. Like this is the kind of stuff that like people need to know, and there's got to be a better way for us to like pass this along. So I'm glad to hear that at least some schools are starting to teach this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just takes so long. Like, so the workplace is advancing at the rate that it's advancing at. And in order for the schools to catch up with what's going on in the tech industry, because it's so volatile and things change every day, they're already like 10, 15, 20 years behind the curve.
Mhm.
Because it
Right.
has to go through the government and education system. Everything has to get approved. It takes forever to implement it. So, you know, our schools are preparing kids for what life was like 10 years ago, not what life is like now.
Life is very different now.
Yeah.
Do you ever, dude, sometimes I wish I didn't know anything. Like, to be honest, like sometimes I wish I didn't know shit because it's like, I feel like sometimes it's a cognito hazard. I know that's not what you meant, but that did remind me
Was
of
this
that.
kind of the phrase "ignorance is bliss"? I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I wish I could go back to
absolutely, yeah.
watching SpongeBob 24/7.
Yeah. But it's also like on the contrary, being knowledgeable is nice. It's nice to, know what you're talking about and feel like you're well informed about things and just have a good observation of the world. It does feel good in that way, but it also sucks knowing that like stuff that shouldn't happen happens in the world. But at the same time, it's like, it's unsurprising for a lot of it because it's like there's assholes in every walk of life, but it still sucks.
So here's
Yeah,
my-
you kind of like lament the child inside of you that had to die in order for you to become an adult.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my idea. So some people in the comments are talking about customer support.
Mm.
You know how certain militaries or certain countries in Europe require like mandatory military service for their citizens,
Korea
like
does
the Nordic
that, right?
countries,
Yeah,
Finland.
South Korea does
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Finland has draft.
I
yeah.
think in the United States it should be mandatory for you to work 1 year in fast food.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. That gives you some
Interesting.
perspective about the people that actually do that shit.
Exactly.
Maybe to make it more general, like I don't know, like working at a Walmart too, or just like any cashier job as well.
It's kind of like getting driving hours in, but it's like work hours.
Any customer facing job at the lowest level, cashier. Yeah, I think it's so like I'm going to push my children when they get to working age to go work in customer service just to provide them that
Mhm.
perspective so they won't grow up to be assholes.
I feel like if that did exist, the government would totally be like, well, if you pay this much, you don't have to do it. And then all the people, there'd be a huge percentage of people who just didn't do it anyway. Knowing the government, right? They'd probably do something like that.
So in Finland, if you don't serve your military service, you just go to jail. You just go to
There you
jail
go.
for 2 years.
That's probably why they're the happiest country, right? Right? Am I getting that wrong?
Are they?
I've heard that before.
I
No, okay,
think
don't
I've
take
heard
my
that
word
somewhere,
for it.
but-
I've just heard that. Hmm.
Yeah. Although it is probably pretty easy to like fake medical issues that will make it so you don't have to be conscripted or anything. But yeah, in general, having some kind of mandatory thing might not be a terrible idea.
Yeah, I believe so about Finland being happy. I've just heard that. I'm sure it's not literally the happiest place on earth, but I bet it's happy in the sense of like, I bet there's probably a very small amount of people. I bet you could count the amount of assholes on your fingers. Because of, I bet military service gives some real good perspective and empathy of everybody that lives there. I bet. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't live there. You want to take a quick bathroom break real quick? Just a quick like be right back.
Yeah.
All right,
Good to pause for a
we'll
few.
take like a couple minutes, everybody. I'll keep the audio going, but we'll be right back. All right,
Yeah.
be right back, guys.
Yep. Yeah, while we're waiting, did you say your mother, your grandma's from Brazil? Oh, it's muted, I think.
Sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah.
All good.
Yeah. No, she's not from Brazil, but basically my grandfather was a diplomat, so they moved a lot. And for high school, my mom was actually in Brazil, in São Paulo, and she knows 5 languages because of it. Because she even had to study university in Poland, and she also learned French. So she would have to like constantly learn new languages wherever she moved, which she told me was a very hard thing to do, but
I'm
she's
back.
glad glad that it happened. What's up?
Sorry,
Sounds
what I
pretty
miss?
intense.
I'm
Yeah,
back.
I was just asking about his mother's connection to Brazil.
yeah,
Oh,
and yeah,
Nighthawks?
Brazil was just one of the
Sorry,
places
Googles.
he lived in for a few years before they moved again.
Okay, I see.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm back, everybody. I was holding that in for like 30 minutes. We are back. We are so back. I'll wait for Dimrain to get back. We can chill for a minute. If you want, you can take questions from the community post or Twitter or the stream chat if you'd like.
Sure.
I can pull it up for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see. Or I could just read them. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of interesting ones. Let's see. There was one I really liked. All right, well, let's go over this. This question comes from @Lloyd53GG on YouTube, and it says, "What did you have in mind when you made Isolation? Also, do you know what Limbo is?" That's not the good question I was thinking about, but might as well cover that.
That's okay. Yeah, I know what Limbo is. I feel like I've known since probably like a week after it came out. I had seen enough references that I looked it up. And so yeah, I'm aware. As for what I was thinking at the time, that was 2007. So that was like 17 years ago. And
Wow.
I really don't remember what was going through my mind when I created it. The first thing I turn to when I'm trying to like think of any context that I had back then is looking at Newgrounds and looking at the author comments section. And it says, trying a new style, what do you think? Needs some feedback on this one. So that doesn't provide a lot of context either. Honestly, I think I was just thinking like, this sounds cool. I wonder where it goes. I didn't really have anything in mind. As for like the name, like the name didn't really mean anything. I was just thinking like, what name seems like it encapsulates the song feeling, you know? So it's not like I came up with the name based on, or sorry, the song based on the name, like already thought out ahead of time. So I know that's not a very satisfying answer.
But not to have confirmation bias get in the way here, but
yeah,
I mean, like the story that forms in your head or in my head when I'm thinking about a song like that, connected to now contextually connected to the word isolation, it does fit. I mean, it sounds like something that could have been. I mean, everyone can form their own story, but
and that's the point of art. Like, I'm totally supportive. I think like it's great that somebody can listen to something and like have this different experience than other people are having. So
damn right.
I say a lot of GD players on that topic probably associate At the Speed of Light with like, I don't know, like a hellish theme, because in the game itself, obviously that's the context it's used in. But I don't think that's like, I mean, even with the name of the song itself, I feel like listening to it kind of in a vacuum from that, it kind of elicits a very different feeling, but because you associate it with other things, you can interpret it in a very different way.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
I have a question for both of you. So, you guys have listened to each other's music. This one's for Dimrain first. When you listen to NightHawk's music, what do you think of? Is he here yet? Is he back? He might not be back.
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back. What do I think of?
Yeah, like what do you think of when you listen to NightHawk's music? Like what pops into your head when you hear the music playing? And then I'm gonna get a vice versa.
So I actually I wanted to ask NightHawk. So in Isolation, there seem to be a lot of instances of like almost nods to certain pieces of Twilight Techno. Was that a direct inspiration, or maybe a partial inspiration?
With the piano, like do 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 do.
Yes, that's
yeah. I think that was probably like a nod. To be honest, like like I said earlier, it was 17 years ago. It's really hard to like
Oh, for sure.
put myself into the mental headspace that I was in. But I would say like one of my favorite things about jazz music is there's like there's this thing called quoting where like people will do little nods to like other famous jazz songs that they like, and like in an improvised solo maybe like Louis Armstrong will play like a um I don't know, like a this is probably anachronistic because different times and stuff, but like a Charlie Parker like tune or something like that. That's one of the things that I've loved so much about jazz music. It's just so like free, and I try to incorporate a lot of that into my like elements of jazz into my techno music. And so, as I think back, I would not be surprised if like that were a direct reference to or nod to Twilight techno. Yeah.
Cool.
Not to get off track, a really interesting, funny anecdote about Twilight Techno.
Yeah.
So I met my wife several years ago, and after having known her and going through the dating phase and everything, I found out that she actually played a game on addictinggames.com called Particles. And Twilight Techno is the background music for this game. It was like a wildly popular game. It was just a really weird full circle type of moment where she actually knew Dimrain47 before she knew me as a person, which is kind of weird.
That's
Seems really cool though. Yeah.
It's a good talking point. It's like, hey, you remember that game you played? Guess what? I wonder her reaction. Did she think you were? You brought it up, obviously. Did she think you were kidding at first, or was it like, really?
No, I think it was more like she knew that I had done the Dimrain47 project in music in my younger years, and it was just a realization that the music in the game that she had played through college was actually had the background music that was composed by me. It was like she didn't really know the name when she was playing the game, right? Because it was it's a really old game. It was really really old game, way back before At the Speed of Light, before any sort of GD fame or anything. And she had heard Twilight Techno, I think, and said, you know what? I think this was in a game that I played. And we just kind of dug in and tracked down that it was Particles on addictinggames.com and that it was Twilight Techno. And it was just kind of a really weird, almost like a Truman Show style moment.
Oh, I love that movie. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm guessing you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic movie,
yeah.
man.
It's a good one. Yeah. It's my favorite Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that's my favorite serious role of his.
Wait, more than Me, Myself, and Irene? That's
I actually haven't seen that one.
Down best Jim Carrey movie in existence.
The
acting quality.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm being ironic, by the way. It's by far the worst Jim Carrey production I think ever. Jim Carrey. Oh wait, we're not counting the sound. Are we counting the Sonic movies?
Oh, I forgot.
I didn't watch those. Is he good in them?
I mean, it's a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it either.
Robotnik, right? I don't actually remember. Okay, yeah.
Wasn't that movie like? Didn't it look horrible on the trailers, and then the internet bullied the studio into remaking it completely, and then it was fine?
Like really,
the original Sonic model was terrible.
Do you think they're going to do that for the Minecraft one?
Do you think the Minecraft models look bad?
No. So there's a Minecraft movie, like a live action with Jack Black, and nobody likes it. And do you think that's the same thing is going to happen with this one that happened with the Sonic movie? Do you think the internet's going to like bully them into submission?
Okay, so replacing a model for an already developed film is one thing, but what is it that people aren't liking about the Minecraft
people,
trailer so far.
from what I can understand, the people that complain about it are complaining that, like, why does a Minecraft movie need to be live action and not like a Minecraft animation, like an animated film?
I would have preferred that for the Sonic movie as well, instead of it being live
There you
action.
go.
I would have preferred a completely animated Minecraft
Yeah,
movie.
like, I don't know a single person who saw the Minecraft trailer and was like, I'm glad this is live action. I'm really glad. Not
And they
a
have to
single
tie
person.
in some sort of explanation why there are people running around in the Minecraft world instead of it being like the Minecraft
Mhm.
models that we know.
Yeah, like,
Oh,
why?
they find a portal and there's some sort of stupid explanation for it, just so that they can have like Jack Black and the other actors on screen. I
Yeah,
think it's for audience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, all of the movies that just like use an IP that's popular, and it's like there's no actual creative. I don't know what to call it. Like there's
no
no like
creative prowess.
there's no idea behind it really. There's no substance. It's just that they want to
Money.
leech off of they
Money, money,
want to
money,
leech off of like a brand that's really big, instead of it being some kind of like
Speaking
spawning
of
out of
that,
like an idea that they had that was actually
So
know,
Microsoft bought Minecraft for
Yeah.
like 2-point-something billion dollars.
I think it was 2.5 in cash.
2.3 or something ridiculous like that. So
Mhm.
they have to do whatever they can to min-max
Mhm.
and get their investment back. I
You
mean,
think they've gotten it back by now? It's been a while.
it's really hard to say. I mean, they're
Yeah.
Microsoft, so I'm sure that they have, monetized it every which way.
There's a plane going over my house. I was like, am I gonna die?
That he earns in chores on Minecraft coins and Roblox bucks. So
Does
he's given
Minecraft
some.
have a currency now?
It's
God, I
a
hope not.
mine coin.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't even know about that.
I didn't know about that.
no.
I played Java.
So
I'm just a Java kid.
So you can purchase add-ons.
Oh, like capes and
Like on
stuff?
Bedrock?
Because
Because Bedrock is like different from
so-
Java.
you can the community can upload and sell third-party add-ons
Oh, okay.
in the
I see what
Minecraft
you mean.
store,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
you can
someone's
purchase
saying
them.
it's a Bedrock thing, yeah.
Yeah, because Bedrock is like less tamperable, like more easily accessible to just jump in and play. Java is more like you can do whatever you want. If you want to mod it, you can mod it. If you want to get shaders, whatever. Like there's
Whatever
no,
is on iPad.
I think
think
Bedrock's
it's
on
Bedrock.
iPad now. There used
Not
to be
actually
Pocket Edition. I don't know what happened to that. I know in Bedrock there's no F3 at all. I'm guessing you've played Minecraft a little bit. There's no F3 menu in Bedrock.
I played Minecraft before it was cool, before I had kids.
Did you play in like
I
beta and
played it in
alpha?
like 2011 or 2012, and I mean I still occasionally play it now when I'm doing like mod packs with friends, but not really as much as I used to.
My son is better than me at Minecraft. He's 7.
Do you
He's been out of
do
the
you
game
want to
for a
see
long
something I've been working on? I've been building a city.
Oh yeah,
I'll put an image of it on the screen.
always like updates
So-
me with it. It's actually genuinely cool.
Take the time you spend building a city in Minecraft and apply it towards something with return value.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this barely gives me a return value. So, we're doing something right. No, but yeah. Damn, that hit me right. That dude, there's like a fucking, you just impaled my chest with that one. I get lazy as hell after I finish main channel videos. For if you don't know, I make a video on my main channel like once every month or two. And then like I have a period where like I'll do nothing for like a few days or a week, and then I'll like beat myself up and being like, I have to do something or else I'm a failure, and then I start something, and then the cycle repeats. But I don't know how you knew that. Good guess.
It's probably true of most people.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. Like difficult being productive and having your own self-control, especially when you're like remote working and the temptation to just open another tab and do something is right in front of you all the time. It's hard, man. It's not easy. I mean, I've struggled with that in the past before.
With technology, and you have this internet access in your pocket,
Mhm.
it's so easy to get distracted and to train yourself to distract yourself. I mean, like, how many times have you been in a social situation and the person you're talking to just pulls out their phone and checks it, literally for
Yeah.
no reason?
I'll
Like,
do that right
because
now. What do we got? Nothing.
it's like
Wow.
it's like a tick. It's a body compulsion
Mhm.
that's been trained into them, to constantly check their phone, and especially in the workplace, when you have your phone in your pocket, it's really hard to get work done. I mean, personally, I struggle with it as well, to the
Right.
point where I when I work, I put my phone across the room on a charger
Yeah.
so that I don't have that temptation. Because if it's in front of me, I'll find myself picking it up and looking at it and not even know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like it's
so normal.
drilled into my habit. So I have to put it across the room because I don't want that distraction when I'm trying to get work done.
Yeah, I mean,
fair.
I don't want to like repeat what I've been saying on past couple episodes, but in the past couple months I cut Twitter out completely. And like it wasn't that hard, to be honest. Twitter is just a really, like any social media really, not to get too much into this again because I know we got some criticism from talking about it constantly, but it is really easy to just open like YouTube Shorts and Twitter and anything that has that fucking stupid infinite scroll that is purposefully designed to make you waste as much time as possible. It's really easy to just be like, oh, an hour's gone by?
Is it stupid or is it genius?
It's
It
a
is
bit of
genius.
both.
There's a lot of psychology that went into the design of those features.
Oh, it is an
Yeah.
evil kind of genius that went into that.
Yeah, they pay a lot of big data scientists and a lot of psychologists really, really high salaries to make sure that you're looking at their application or using their application for as long as possible.
Yep. It's just a numbers game, really. They're just really trying to squeeze the statistics out of you.
Anyone is looking for some kind of like book about productivity in the digital age. Digital Minimalism, by who is it by?
I think
Cal
I've heard of
Newport.
that.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It talks about some of the science behind, like, for example, the Facebook like button. When they introduced that was like really pivotal in launching Facebook to the popularity that it is. It creates this like dopamine rush whenever you log in and you see a notification because someone liked your stuff.
Yeah.
And then it also talks about like how to create that space for productivity, in spite of all of the technological benefits that we can get from phones and technology and such.
Yeah, I'd argue that some of it, like, I'll give myself excuses for some of it, because it's like, this is my job, like doing YouTube. I can just watch less videos and spend that time making more videos or doing something productive. And like Twitter, again, with Twitter, if I do use it, I just use it to promote stuff like this and just be like, I don't use it anymore to just scroll and have the time of my life, you know?
Yeah, these can be useful tools if you set the boundaries for what you allow them, what influence you allow them to have in your life. They can be very useful tools. And there's nothing wrong with distracting yourself a little occasionally, but yeah, it's about finding balance.
Absolutely. I'll put a, just to go back to what we're talking about, I'll put a screenshot real quick. I'll put 2 screenshots of the city I was working on in Minecraft. This is one. And it neighbors a huge like castle estate. So that's the first one. I just wanted to show. I was trying to find a picture of it, and I just now found it. And here's the other angle of it. So there you go. Taking me a long time, but
there.
That's more work than I've done in my entire life on all of my projects combined. The most impressive
about it. Yeah, go ahead.
The most impressive thing I've seen in Minecraft was a couple of years ago. somebody built a CPU processor
Yeah.
in
Dude,
Minecraft.
yes. I have a friend who used to know how to build RAM, working RAM. And I'm like,
Like, if this guy
fuck?
doesn't get a job at IBM
like,
after
yeah,
making
what are you
this,
doing?
I
Go
know,
be an
just for fun.
aerospace engineer. What the fuck? No, but yeah, I appreciate that. Like, there's something about Minecraft. There's something about building in Minecraft that just tickles my brain so nicely. I can just build for 5 hours and not get bored of it and not get burned out of it. I just love it, dude. But yeah, like, I think building in Minecraft and doing that stuff has also tickled my architect and the engineer in me as well. Because you think about that kind of stuff when you're building something like that. You think about the urban planning, like, okay, well, I need good sidewalks, good walkways. I need to have good greenery, good means of transportation. I need to have a good subway system. Just you think about all that stuff. I have to have good access to parking. Is it a walking town? You just think about all of that stuff.
so
And it makes
is
you
that
think
something that
about
you
it.
would enjoy? Is that something that you enjoy doing? The process that you
Oh,
just
absolutely. I took every engineering class in school. I feel like that's my true calling if YouTube fails.
sounds like. So specifically, what you just described is like a city planning job.
Yeah.
Is that something
We need
that,
good city planners. Yeah. Change the way that we design our cities in the U.S.
Step 1,
Make
figure
better
out how to
infrastructure.
tackle General Motors. Step 2, get working.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, you're right. I could totally do that. I've thought about it a lot. Well, not okay. That's a lie. I've thought about it rarely, but I just focus on YouTube and that sort of thing. I rarely think about that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're totally right. I totally could do that.
should we bring some people on to
I
ask
think
him
it's
some
time.
questions?
I think
Yeah,
it's
let's do it.
time.
Probably a good
I think it's time to
do
do a phone in. So for everybody who's listening, everybody who's listening live in the Discord server that I have provided in a pinned message in the live chat, there is a phone in channel in the server where you can be one of the lucky few to be dragged into the call, and you can ask a question to Dimrain or Nighthawk directly or both. So I'll wait to see some people fill up, and we'll bring some people in.
Or
If
blue,
they can
or-
even join the channel. I don't know if they can. Step 3, delete roundabouts.
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, I totally agree.
What?
roundabouts. Absolutely.
Roundabouts are awful. I hate them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I live, I was like, well, I guess it's efficient, but then it's like no one knows how to use it. you'll
They're
have
efficient
like
on paper.
4 cars lined up because the one guy in front is like scared to like get in it because he doesn't know what's happening. And it's always like the same car. It's like a Prius. Not to dog on anyone who drives a Prius, but stereotypes exist.
I mean,
everywhere.
you were stereotyped as a BMW driver, so.
Well, I mean, I'm better than that. No, I'm kidding. Hey,
Maybe the best
for people listening, are you guys
driver.
able to join the phone-in channel, or does it not work? It should work. I'm waiting for somebody to show up in it. Nobody showed up yet, so I'm just waiting. Maybe I should tag people. Maybe people forgot.
Check the. Oh yeah, no, someone joined. Okay, yeah, people are joining now.
There we go. Boom. All right. How about this? How about the guests can choose? That should be fun.
Sure.
You be too nervous? Flabbergasted, you better get your ass in here right now. Don't be too nervous. Get in here.
Let's get Beefy Ikes in here.
Beefy Ike?
Beefy Ikes? All right. All right, hope he's prepared. Hello?
Oh,
State your name, please.
Well, we just said it like
Yeah, true.
5
But
times, but you know.
you have a question for Dimrain or Nighthawk?
I'm be honest. I just joined because you know you told me because I just wanted to see if it works. But like, it really seems like it works. So
Got anything you want to ask him?
nah, you let someone else. You don't have any questions.
Okay, well, appreciate it. Appreciate your honesty a lot, honestly. It's fun. That was funny. All right. Who else should we get? Who else? So Dimrain chose that guy. Nighthawk can choose the other person.
Yeah,
The other buddy.
I think I saw I've seen in the social media recently, some of my like Reddit channels, or YouTube actually, some questions from Ajax Nations. So why don't we get them in
All
here?
right, perfect. Let's do it. Hello?
Or
Hello?
YouTube, actually.
Hey.
Hello, Ajax Mations. We have a question for Nighthawk or Dimrain or both. Now would be a really good time.
All right. I have two. Can I ask both of them
Yeah,
or just
sure.
one?
Yeah, you can ask
Okay.
both.
So for both, what was your favorite track from both artists? So like Dimrain, what's your favorite track from NightHawk? And NightHawk, what was your favorite track from Dimrain?
Yeah, so I admittedly haven't spent enough time going through the NightHawk22 discography. But from what I have heard, just kind of here and there throughout time, or today when I made a substantial effort to try to listen to some of NightHawk's stuff, I really liked Perfect Storm. But to be honest, I think there's a lot of magic that happens in a lot of NightHawk22 tracks. My personal favorite is Perfect Storm, but this could change as I listen to more.
Yeah, I would say it's really hard to just choose one. I would say probably if I had to narrow it down to two, maybe Infernoplex or Surface. Very different from each
Really good
other,
choices.
but yeah, both really awesome songs. Just like super polished, great melodies. Yeah.
And my
Cool.
other question is for NightHawk. So, what did you not like about the Brainwaves album? Like you said in the Mindcap interview that Brainwaves wasn't really your favorite album compared to the others. But for me, I personally loved all the songs in it. So I just want to see like your overall thoughts on like what you thought of it.
Yeah. So let me just reference which of the tracks I had allocated to the Brainwaves album, just as a reference. Okay, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like Hyperdestructive, that was probably one of the like milestone pieces that I had where it got a lot of positive recognition from the community at the time, back in Newgrounds. And I was really proud of that one for quite a while, but like the style that I was kind of doing at the moment was like kind of like jazz music where you have a refrain and then in between the refrains you'll have improvised solos, and that was kind of the type of thing that I was going for with Hyperdestructive. There's like four different kind of like not really improvised, right? Because it's all written down, but not necessarily following a particular methodology, I guess. The rest of the album feels just really disjointed, I guess. I mean, you go from like Brainwaves, which I think had terrible mastering, to Hyperdestructive, where I think I went even a little too far and out of control with some of those solos. Nova Mortus, which is just like out of left field, completely different from all the other songs in there. Acid Rain, I did a terrible job at the mastering there. I do like Dreamforge quite a bit, and then
Yep,
Frozen Teardrops, like it's kind of more classical. Like it's just all over the place, you know.
Yes. For me, I personally loved Dreamforge, my favorite track by you by far. And for me, Acid Rain and I personally liked Acid Rain. Like, I mean, the bass is pretty heavy, but like going on long car rides, I find it to be a bop to listen to. And I love Frozen Teardrops. Like those three songs, favorite ones in the track. I mean, in the album.
Hearing that.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to talk.
So much.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you too.
Thank you.
All right, who you want to do next? If it were up to me, it would be Solarion, but it's not up to me.
It is up to you.
Oh, it is? All right,
You're
Solarion it is.
You're pressuring them.
Hello? Hello? You there?
Hello. What's up?
Hello. You have any questions?
Yeah. The question I was going to ask was more specifically for Nighthawk. So I'm currently a college student majoring in cybersecurity, and I'm thinking about getting an internship. I remember you talking earlier about how you said you got an internship. Would you have any advice?
Yeah, advice for internships. Like any particular aspect of the internship, like in applying, or like where to look, or just like what you're expecting from an internship, or just anything.
Anything would help, honestly.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I would say back in the day when I was like deciding to do an internship, I had never really like I guess to me it seemed like an optional thing, and I would say as software development manager right now, what I'm seeing in resumes is lots of experience. So I think I'm seeing like one internship and then another part-time job afterwards in software development before applying for a full-time position. I would say like it doesn't necessarily matter as much where you do the internships. Just look for something and look for something that has relevant experience to what you're trying to do. And I think any little edge that you can give yourself over other candidates, you should take. So definitely seriously consider an internship. Just I would say put out just a ton of applications. And when you hear back from them, if you're choosing between multiple different options, then like look for the one that seems like it will immerse you the most in like a real life full-time position, almost like an internship that will give you an experience similar to what a full-time software developer would be doing in their day-to-day, as opposed to like writing unit tests or um, or stuff like that. So and then when you get to the internship, like I think like make the most out of the experience. Um, you'll have some full-time colleagues, and don't be afraid to bother them and ask them questions. Most people feel good helping other people when they need help, and so like most of them won't be bothered. Um, and I think relying on other people's experience is a great way to learn and ramp up fast. Can provide you with experience that can give you benefits when you're
Yeah,
applying
for
for a
sure.
full-time position. Yeah.
I
So
have
those are
another
just a few
piece of
things.
advice.
Oh
So
wait, what? Oh yeah.
Google top 50 tech resume buzzwords and take
All
those
right.
buzzwords and put them in your resume with white letter coloring on white background so that they don't show up when someone looks at it, but a resume parser that is scanning the text for your scanning the text of your resume and is looking for certain keywords are more likely to ping your resume in a job application or internship application.
That's actually smart.
That
Yeah.
that is the thing. If also you have some direct connection to any of those buzzwords, like you've done something related to them in a class, leave them like as a main bullet point in your resume as well.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, the thing is, I was actually going to say is that in terms of like direct connections, like my school is right by like an IBM center, so like there's a lot of internships that happen there. But the competition for them is pretty high stakes because there's like so many students from the school that are trying to get it. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll just say like it's not the end of the world if you don't have like an IBM on your resume. If you have relevant experience in your resume and you can show like a track record of like I did an internship at this place and like they don't know what that place is, like that's fine. But like yeah, if you can get into the IBM one, that probably can help. So I would say like even if you don't think you have a huge chance of getting it, throw your hat into the ring because you never know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, nice talking to you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah,
you
good
too.
luck.
It's
You
been a
too.
while.
Question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, I know who's going next. All right, Mello is going to be next. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello.
All right. Ask away. What do you got?
What's the favorite songs you've worked on?
Is this just for both of them?
Yeah, for both.
Yeah, that NightHawk.
Okay. I think I had a blast working on Perfect Storm. Like for me, I mentioned in the interview with Mindcap that Perfect Storm is one of like maybe my two top favorites. The other one being Isotope. And I think with Perfect Storm, it just like that was the first thematic song that I made where like I tried to incorporate thematic elements into the song and like really represent what I felt experiencing a storm. And it was just really gratifying. And it felt like it moved along really fluidly. I didn't really get writer's block on it. So that was a good experience. And then I guess maybe Isotope as well. In particular, like I was trying to figure out how do I end this stupid song, and I was drawing a blank. And someone else called this out in a YouTube video in the comment section. I was just like, what happens if I reverse the melody? And so I reversed the melody, reversed the chord progression, and I actually liked it a lot. And so I just went with that. And like every time I listen to it now, I'm like, that's just the perfect ending. So I think maybe those two are some of the favorite songs that I've worked on. And the reason that I enjoyed working on them so much was just like, it felt like they really gelled. They really came together without, like, they just kind of flowed from me, you know? And I can still feel that when I listen to them afterwards.
Cool.
Yeah,
Is
for
there-
me, so
okay, yeah.
so Operation Evolution was really fun to work on. That song, I didn't really care about thematic relations. I just kind of was writing whatever was coming to me in the moment. Operation Evolution, Buzztone Symphony, and the Cryotube were actually all one really long song at one point. And I split them up just to make more logistical sense and not having a 20 or 25 or 18 or whatever minute long song. And it was just really fun to sit down and write part after part after part, drag in whatever plugin that sounded good at the time, and just go for it. There's something very gratifying and freeing about doing that. Versus kind of modern conventional music, where it's expected to have a chorus that's repeated. It's expected to kind of hint at certain elements, thematic elements in your song in the intro before you hit the drop in the chorus where the element is featured in full. For some reason, with those modern standards, it's very confining. And to me, it hinders a lot of my artistic process to have to conform to modern standards. And with those three songs, I completely threw modern standards out the window and just wrote what I was feeling at the moment. And I have really good memories of that experience.
There you go.
That's really cool.
Thank you so
I
much.
tell you what, I'd like to hear that like alternate reality in which that was one long 20-minute like prog techno song.
It exists. If you Venmo me $20, you can hear it.
There you go. All right, well, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate it too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy I enjoy your content, so thanks for making it, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
liking it. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mello. I love toasting you over the fire
All right,
and eating you.
let's do Axiom. All right, we'll do 2 more. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, ask away.
Okay, so I'm asking this to both Dimrain and Nighthawk. What are you guys' hardest levels in Geometry Dash that you've beaten?
This is an easy one for me. So when isolation started becoming popular due to Limbo, I thought, and I was,
Limbo.
I guess it wasn't right at the beginning, but like when I was getting ready for my interview with Mindcap, I was like, I've got to be able to say that I've played Geometry Dash when I go on this podcast. And so I downloaded the mobile app and I tried playing the first level and I was really bad at it. I don't think I even got through the first level, and I was like, I need to get back to Baldur's Gate 3, so I kind of gave up. So that's probably the hardest level. I am a really big noob when it comes to Geometry Dash.
Should beat Limbo one day.
Yeah, I should.
Take a long
Probably
time.
need a miracle.
What about you, Dan?
My hardest level is the account creation page on the Geometry Dash website.
Yeah, I get you.
I still haven't.
That one's a bitch. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thank you again. All right. You know what? There's only 2 other people here. We'll just do the last 2. All right.
Yeah.
Dragon
Cool with
Fruit.
that.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Ask
Hello.
away. What do we got?
All right. My first question is for Dimrain. I think the oldest video on your channel is called Speed Trance and Underpants, and there's a weird it's like a joystick on the side. What is that? Do you remember?
That's the magic meter, my friend.
What does it
Whenever
do?
you want to add some magic or some razzle dazzle, you hit that motherfucker, and it just cranks shit up a notch. It's a pitch
Oh,
knob.
wow.
So the left and right, if you watch the video, there's a few sections in that video where you can slide the pitch of the note that you're playing on the keyboard up or down to whatever degree you'd like. So if I want to slide the pitch of the note that I'm playing with my right hand up a whole step, I'm going to slide the razzle dazzle knob up all the way to the right with my left hand. And this is just a way to kind of add some sort of realistic human feel to keyboard playing. With the keyboard, you play a note, and conventionally, you can't really change that note unless you let go and play another one. But in real life instruments like guitar, violin, voice, and whatever else, you can slide from note to note, which isn't possible in keyboard music unless you have this tool. And this tool is trying to bridge the gap so that you can add some life and some extra versatility to keyboard music by allowing pitches to slide up and down. So that's the left and right dimension. The up and down dimension in the particular model that I'm playing in that video is a Korg M3. You can actually pre-program any of those dimensions to whatever you want. So left and right by default are pitch. Up and down can be whatever. They can be a filter. So I can program the down direction on that stick to apply a high pass filter to whatever I'm playing. So I can slam the down direction and just cut out all high frequencies or low frequencies, I guess, and slowly let up on that stick to change the value of the whatever filter I'm applying. So I think by default in the model that I was playing, which is the Korg M3, the up direction or the positive X direction is vibrato. So you can hit up on that stick and apply some vibrato to whatever note you're playing. So you'll see a lot of left and right slides in that video, as well as a lot of positive X or up direction to hit vibrato when I'm hitting longer notes.
There you go.
Cool.
Pretty good answer.
And then I have a second question for Nighthawk. Now you said you were in Brazil for a while. Is there like, do you know of any like Brazilian techno? Do you know any like Brazilian techno artists or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know of Brazilian techno per se. There's a very popular genre of Brazilian music, which I guess is similar to maybe like I don't even know what I would classify it as, but it's called funky. Um, it's spelled just FUNK. It's nothing like American funk, which is a subgenre of jazz. It's kind of, I guess, more similar to like rap, I guess. But they make heavy use of like electronic beats, and repetitive sampling of audio clips and that type of thing. Honestly, like not really my cup of tea, but they do have some pretty cool beats in there. So that's probably the closest I can think of to Brazilian techno. I'm sure there's some Brazilian techno out there, but I didn't hear it quite as much in the streets.
Cool.
Cool.
I have a
thanks
question for
coming on,
Dragon
Ed.
Fruit.
Oh, you can
Wait.
ask one more. You're good.
No, I have a question for Dragon Fruit. Dragon Fruit,
Oh,
why do you taste like shit?
dude, you're right.
I've tried like dragon fruit once, and I didn't think it was awful, but it definitely isn't the most like flavorful fruit I've had. Honestly, I just chose the name because it looks cool. Like I didn't even try it before I chose the name.
Honestly,
it
the
because-
color
It is a
combination is
The root word
misleading
dragon
fruit.
is cool. Dragon
Yeah.
fruit isn't cool.
It's a cool name though.
It is.
It is a
cool
cool name for a fruit, but it doesn't.
you.
It's not that good.
it looks
Mhm.
cool though. I think it looks nice.
It's something
I've
that
heard,
looks
like-
like it would be good, but isn't.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah, it's
depends
interesting.
on,
It's like red
where
on
you
the
get them.
outside and then white and black speckled on the inside. It's
Yeah.
such a contrast.
Tastes like sponge.
Sorry, what were you gonna ask?
I've never tried a sponge before.
You're missing out.
Did you have another question? We kind of.
No, I was
Oh, okay.
saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you listening to our show, and I appreciate you coming in for this, even though it was like a random selection. I appreciate it anyway. So thank you so much.
Yep.
I'm forever gonna think about dragon fruit now. So thank you for that. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, SP8INXGM. Spanix, I guess. Spanix GM. Hello? Hello? I think he's AFK.
He's
Yeah,
on
it
mute.
might have been too long.
Oh, is
He's
he on
on
mobile?
mute.
Should I
Does
give him a
say that.
minute? Maybe he's
Yes.
using the bathroom.
His mute icon is up. Let's pull the other guy in here.
All right.
Sure.
You know
We'll
what?
just
If he
have
says
both of
something in
them
the
in.
chat, I'll come back. Epico. Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. So I have a question for both Dimrain. And Aga. So I have been thinking about like exploring like FL Studio and just maybe getting into making music and techno music of my own. Do you have like any tips or things to know beforehand?
You go first, Dimrain. Kind of like in real life. You started your music before I did.
So one thing I will say is you're really lucky to be living in this day and age where you have unlimited almost access to information. When Nighthawk and I started writing music back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, YouTube was like barely a thing. Okay. The internet had been around for a while, but it still wasn't, the festering mass of information that it is now. So back then, I didn't really have a whole lot of resources, or at least I didn't know how to access the proper resources to learn how to use FL Studio properly. You have that today. So what I would recommend to you is to, first of all, if you're using FL Studio, I know that FL Studio has sanctioned tutorials and courses. I think the website actually
Yeah, I
hosts
noticed that.
tutorials. I would watch those.
All
I
right.
would go on YouTube. How old are you?
I'm in teens.
Okay, great. Are you aspiring to be a musician? Do you
Not
want it to
really.
be full?
Just kind of wanted to be a hobby.
Okay. So if it's going to be just a hobby, I would say don't really worry about it. If you want to learn to use the tool, then I would check out the tutorials. That's probably good enough.
Okay.
If you want to take it beyond that, then I would hit YouTube really hard, see what other people are doing with FL Studio. I would join communities. I would go on Reddit, and I would absorb all of that content, which you might still want to do, even if it's just a hobby. But FL Studio, at its core, is just a tool for you to put your musical ideas down onto, digital paper. And that can be really hard to do if you don't understand the tool. So I would bite the bullet and take the time to learn how to use your tool properly. And once you've done that, maybe 8 to 12 hours of tutorials, you probably have enough of a base ground to start to explore your creativity.
All right.
Yeah, that's great. I would second everything that Dimrain has said. There is just so much content out there on YouTube. There are the official sanctioned tutorials, and then you've got a ton of like FL Studio influencers as well who have provided tutorials for just the base FL Studio stuff, and also for probably every single VST plugin you can find has a set of tutorials on how to effectively use them. And I would say like Dimrain is saying, get the foundations down, and then if someday you're like, oh, I want to use this new plugin, worry about that later, But for me, I think one of the more important things, which I've seen kind of coming back into the scene, where like I had kind of a run of several years where I was making music almost constantly. When I was making music constantly, I was also like immersed in music myself, whether it be piano lessons and I was playing music, or like listening to music on the radio, playing in band class, listening to other people's music on Newgrounds. But just like immersing yourself in music, and then also using the tools regularly, like it really makes those mental pathways connect. It is a skill that you have to develop, but the more often you do it, the more easily you can kind of get into that creative mindset. So like when you first start off, even if you have a full understanding of the tools, it may be difficult to find that source of inspiration for yourself. But like, just don't give up. And like, maybe your first 2 or 3 songs won't be all that great, but like over time, you'll start developing those mental pathways that allow you to kind of channel your creativity. And the more often that you do it, the better you'll get at it, the easier it'll come. And like for me, it was super easy after like 6 months, just because I was enjoying myself so much when I was doing it, that like I would use a lot of the free time that I had on it just because it was fun. So I guess that's just to say, like, there's the technical side, which is super important. If you don't know how to use the tool, you're not going to get anywhere. And then there's the creative side, which is like, it does take some time to get into that headspace, but just don't give up, even if your first couple of songs like you're not super satisfied with. And also, like, show your song to friends and family, ask for their feedback. Maybe people will have some helpful feedback for you. It's really easy to be like really close and attached and guarded to your music, but like somebody who isn't as attached to it may have some obvious feedback, like, oh, the levels are way off on this, or like this is too fast. There's ways to incorporate feedback from others while still maintaining your originality and giving it your flair, making it your piece.
All right,
Absolutely.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to go ahead and add to that. So he brought up a really good point at the very end, which is to query your audience for feedback. But you also have to take into account that you're querying people, humans, who have opinions.
Yeah.
You at the end of the day are the one putting all of this time and energy into your musical creation or whatever the creation is, artistic. So you're in the driver's seat. You get to make the executive decision. And what I found in the later years, the most hindering to my own musical progress was looking too deep into social media feedback. Somebody somewhere says something about whatever thing, and letting that drive your creativity and your progress. It's good to take everything with a grain of salt. People are going to be mean online. It's really easy to be mean online. People are gonna praise you online as well. But just take all of that feedback and just kind of squeeze it into the middle and look at it from a third party perspective, not as non-personally as you can, and as objectively as you can. And you can decide to leave that feedback at the table, or you can decide to incorporate that feedback. But one of the things that I found myself struggling with the most is when I would get feedback from listeners, and I would weight that feedback too heavily. So I would start to restrict my creativity because I'm thinking about the listeners and what their feedback was, instead of just doing what I wanted to do and doing what was fun.
Okay.
Yeah, couldn't agree enough.
There you go. I hope that
All
was a
right.
good enough answer. pretty good answer, honestly.
Yeah, that's a really good
So,
answer. Thank you.
No, I think.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
For asking the question and supporting us.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
We
don't have time for any more of that.
Spatenix typed
We got
his
one
question at the chat. If you want me to read it out, at least, which was, he wanted to ask both of you, how did you get into music in the first place?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's generational. My mom and my grandfather, my grandfather was a singer. My mom was a singer, played the flute, played the piano. My dad played the saxophone. My paternal grandfather was into opera music. So, like, it goes way back. And so naturally, my parents got me into music as a kid, both by, the music that they would listen to in the car and, like, also incentivizing me to do music lessons and different instruments and participate in the school band. That's how I got into music. And I would say I had a really narrow, like, genre of music that I would listen to. Probably because of my parents, but like when I got into high school, just like listening to music that other people would listen to, like sharing headphones, that kind of thing, was what led me to discover Newgrounds techno. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, through artists like Dimrain and Paragon X9. And yeah, that's how I got into music. And I thought, like, I like music and I have a good understanding of it. I'd like to try to make my own. And, one thing led to another. And yeah, that's my answer.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, we got to wrap up pretty soon. I don't know if Dimrain answered that question on his episode a couple months ago. I can't
It's okay.
remember.
I mean, music is kind of inherent in all of us, as humans.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at more intelligent kind of like animal life forms, they all respond to music. Like really intelligent parrot species, whales, particularly mammals that have highly developed like cerebral function. The music, for some reason, is a sign or an attribute of high intelligence. And as humans, as arguably the most intelligent species on Earth, it's within everybody. The question or the quest for most people is to how to awaken that. Some people are lucky and they get a lot of opportunity to explore music, whether it's within their school, if they have parents, like NightHawk said, if it's generational, it's always been within their family culture to kind of have a piano in the house or to sing songs around Thanksgiving dinner or whatever it is. And some people don't have that opportunity. But, I mean, what's the most driving factor behind advertisements these days? And has been for a long time. It's like the jingle or the music that's played in the background, right? Because that's what your brain latches onto. And there's a reason for that. It's because every human responds to and respects music in some way or another. And it's just kind of an inherent attribute within our species. So what I would recommend to people trying to awaken their own musical spirit is just to give it some time. Some people are more musically inclined than others. I've met, as a piano teacher in my 13 years of teaching, some very non-inclined students. Some students who just cannot tap a beat to save their lives. But it was still there in some way, shape, or form. And it still means a lot to every person in one way or another. And it has a really, I would say, deeply rooted meaning to human existence. So as far as what does music mean to us as people, I would say that it means whatever you want it to mean. And you can attribute anything you want to any piece of music that you're listening to mean anything. This is kind of going back to what NightHawk was saying earlier. Why it's so beautiful. At the Speed of Light was a journey through space, but for some reason, it's got the color red painted in people's minds when they listen to it.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
That's fine. Yeah, that's great. Whatever you want. I want you to just enjoy yourself when you're experiencing the music that I've created. And I think NightHawk can probably attest to the same thing.
Yep.
It's a universal language. So it's not meant to mean anything unless, maybe it is. But for the most part, it's really just made to make you feel good. And if it makes you feel good in some way or another, or transfer some meaning to you as a person, quest complete. That's the entire point.
Yeah, I really think music is the ultimate form of expression.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I listen to music every day. And in fact, I got to go pick my sister up from downtown in a couple
I think
hours.
that's a good note
And
to end it on.
you know
though.
what I'm going to be listening to on the way there? Music.
Well, I thought you were gonna say you were gonna listen to like Dimrain music or something.
I might. Maybe. Playing at the speed of light in the middle of the dark? Maybe. There's one more thing. We'll end after this. One more thing I wanted to ask Nighthawk. So like a month ago, something was happening. Like somebody was like false copywriting all your music. Like what was happening? What was that?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
That seemed like a roller
It was
coaster.
a really frustrating experience for me. So one day I log on to artist.spotify.com. I like to check occasionally, and I'm used to seeing maybe like 50 people at most streaming or streaming any of my music at any given time, like during peak hours of like US daylight hours. And I noticed it was like 3. And then I checked back the next day and I was like, what is going on? So I went onto my Spotify profile, from like the music player, and noticed that Dark Matter, the album, was completely missing. And so I submitted a help request to my distributor, CD Baby. They told me that they received an email from Spotify saying that they had received a copyright claim against the album Dark Matter, for, in particular, the track Isolation. They said it was from, I can actually pull up the email. Let's see. I'm just trying to remember. They said they gave me a little bit of information. Martha Simmons Music. Okay, yeah. They said it was submitted from an email called marthasimmonsmusic@legislator.com. And that essentially I needed to reach out to the claimant who had submitted this claim against me and get them to retract their claim in order to restore my music to Spotify.
So it's just like
looking. Sorry?
It's probably an automated claim.
I don't know if it was automated or if it was like some random person, because so here's the other sketchy thing that happened. Around the same time, someone on Reddit posted saying, yeah, I don't know why it got taken down, but I see it's on another account under the name Nova X. And so I went to that profile, and sure enough, they had the track Isolation. And so like I have no way of connecting the two to each other. The claim against my song and then somebody like uploading my track and claiming it was theirs. But I do kind of have to wonder if maybe somebody was like, I want to profit from the song, so I'm going to get their song taken down and then upload their song under my name. Like I said, I have no way of knowing if that's even true, but the thought crossed my mind. So anyway, it's been this big drama of going back and forth between CD Baby and Spotify, with CD Baby saying, hey, we can't reach out directly to Spotify, that's your responsibility. And then Spotify saying, hey, your distributor needs to handle this. And then I would take their response and send it back to CD Baby, and CD Baby would say, hey, sorry, but we don't have any way of doing this. It got to the point where I was like, hey, Spotify, this is a situation. My distributor is not helping me at all. I need to handle this on my own. What can you do for me? I explained that I reached out to Martha Simmons Music at legislator.com, and naturally, as I expected, got no response back because it's a fake domain. And they said, okay, yeah, we understand what you're saying and we'll restore your song to Spotify, but we need your distributor to do it. And so I reached out to CD Baby one more time, and they said, we know of no way getting in contact with Spotify's content team. We recommend you resubmit your song and select Spotify only for the distribution. And I was tired of all this crap and I didn't want to go through a lawyer. So I decided to just pay the like $45, resubmit the entire album. And while I was at it, I decided to release it as a single, just in case somebody decides to copyright claim it again. At least that limits the damage to just the one track, hopefully, and not the entire album. But it really was a nightmare, and it seems like it's been resolved now. Around the same time, like 2 weeks into that ordeal, I got another email from CD Baby saying, hey, we received a claim from YouTube saying that your track Isolation is not actually yours, that it's owned by somebody else. And this claim was submitted through Music. So I reached out directly to Music and said, hey, somebody is abusing your platform to make a fraudulent copyright claim. I need your help. And they were very helpful, very compliant. Didn't need me to go through the distributor. They retracted the claim. That situation was resolved on YouTube. And then like a couple weeks later, my track and my album were both released back to Spotify. So it really was just the most stressful situation that I've dealt with regards to this music. Seems like it's resolved. I'm just kind of holding my breath and hoping that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, didn't the Fat Rat have something similar happen to him as well? like about having his own music falsely copyrighted by some company claiming that it was theirs when it wasn't. And that
I'm
was
not sure, but there's too much. Like, I understand it's a lot easier for Spotify to verify like a Taylor Swift song actually belongs to her than it is for them to verify that a NightHawk22 song belongs to me. But I kind of can't help but feel like it's still an injustice that I had to go through that. So
definitely.
That happens a lot to these two artists called Home and Windows 96. And the thing is with those two artists is that their music is completely copyright free on YouTube.
Also, F777 said that, yeah, this was something that happened with a lot of people in the chat.
It seems to be common. But I know with people like Home and Windows 96, since their music is completely copyright free on YouTube, I don't know how they profit from it. I guess they don't. Maybe it's elsewhere. Maybe it's Spotify listens or something. I'm not sure. But they deal with that a lot. Because Home has like 12 hours of discography. But you can use his music. That's why YouTubers like Summoning Salt use his tracks. Is because it's good music and it's copyright free. But they run into that shit all the time where a label, usually somebody pretending to be a label, will just be like, oh, this is actually ours now. And since it's not copyrighted on YouTube, they see that as like an open slot to just claim it. And like it gets resolved pretty quickly with them now because it's happened to Home so much to where like I bet he just has a contact where he's like, hey, it's happening again. And the guy's like on it.
Yeah,
but like
so
that must be so frustrating.
It's happened to me. It's happened to me a lot too. It's actually happened to me right now. My theory is that there are bots that scrape music and upload them. And they will collect as much revenue as they can until it's contested. And then they just lose.
That's what happened to me. That's what I was emailing Summoning Salt about that when it was happening, and I was like messaging a bunch of people just trying to figure out what was going on, and he told me exactly what you said. He just said he said just contest it in parentheses, they won't, and then you'll be fine.
Won't.
Yeah, that's fine. Literally.
But
yeah, and maybe this. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say every day that you leave it up and don't contest it,
more money
they're pulling pennies of your revenue. But they do this on a massive scale.
Oh, and it works because people don't check.
Yeah, they don't check, or they don't think that they have any power to dispute it, or they just don't know, and it apparently is lucrative enough to where it's a common problem.
It must be.
Yeah.
I know, what happened with, those videos on YouTube of like 10 hours of rain, like heavy rain noises? I've heard of like people will do that on those because it's just rain. And I've heard that people that make those, let's say you have like a 10-hour video of rain, there could be like 50 claims in it, like of just little sections of the video that are just completely false claims. I've heard that got really attacked. That used to be like the method for making money on YouTube a couple years ago if you just made rain videos. But then the same thing happened to that, and it was just a shit show. So I think it still happens.
Yeah,
I guess if you stream it, it's
strange
fine.
world we live in.
I mean, money talks, I guess. Especially when it's stealing from you. It screams.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe you scream because you want the money back.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Right. Damn, it's been almost 3 hours. I'm about ready to end it up here.
Yeah. Hey, it was fun to be on with you all.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, also,
Thank you
hi,
for
F777. I don't think I addressed that. What's up, man?
Yeah,
YouTube's a little more strict with approved
7 on here.
distributors. Yeah. Why? So, fuck. I kind of want to get into that. Why don't the artists have control over the content ID? Like, unless they do. Because he brought that up in the chat. I saw that earlier. It's better for the artist to put their music in content ID first themselves so they can be in control of removing the claims. That makes the most sense to me. I'm guessing there's some kind of regulatory problem or something. Or it just doesn't happen. I'm not sure, but I'm ready to end. If you got anything else to say, We can quickly breeze
Oh,
through it. Otherwise, we're good.
I just wanted to say it was a real pleasure to be on the podcast with you all, and Dimrain, it was awesome meeting you. I looked up to you as a teenager a lot, and it was really cool to finally meet you.
There you go.
Thanks, man.
I
Yeah,
thought
no,
you guys were the
I
same
love
person.
hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that
Even
just like a
today-
clone?
Disproved.
Even today, people ask me if I alt as not NightHawk22.
Have you ever thought about
Yeah.
just saying yes to see what happens? It's like, what if
That
I
would
just
be
say
fun.
yes?
No, I appreciate it. I'm glad that that I was able to talk to and meet you as well. I'm glad I had a positive influence. Great to talk to you, man.
Oh, last thing.
Yeah, likewise.
When is the collab song happening?
Yeah, true, actually.
Tomorrow,
I kind of
yeah.
just put that on you, but
Yeah, we'll bust it out tonight and release it tomorrow morning.
all right, cool. Is it going to be called like Minute Maid?
Minute.
Maybe it should.
Yeah, maybe it should. Just like rough around the edges. No, but seriously, thanks for coming on again, Dimrain. Thanks for coming on, NightHawk. This is the collab of the century, I'd imagine. I was pretty nervously excited to do this, and this was dope,
Appreciate
man.
it.
We went for 3 hours. That's longer than I thought we would go for, and the phone-ins went well. Yeah, I mean F777. If I could plan something in the future, I'm reading the chat right now.
You have to get Waterflame, F777 on here. There's a lot of Newgrounds artists.
I want to get Paragon.
I know
this is a GD podcast, but I think there's a lot of potential here with at least the music
for sure.
artist.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like
I agree.
Creo, Waterflame,
For sure.
Paragon, F777.
Somebody in the chat was talking about Corn
Paragon
and Bean.
X9, like
Corn and
easy to
Bean.
contact.
I think they're like a professional Smash Bros player now.
Oh,
Really?
also
I
DJ
don't
Nate
know about
and
that.
Nightkiller. Nightkiller would be a huge one, man.
Honestly, those would all be really cool.
Yeah, I want to do what we
Yeah.
did again here. Have like 2 of them. Because I like listening to people that both make music talking about it. Because they can kind of like
Yeah,
bounce
I
off
think
each
there's good
other.
synergy.
Yeah, this
when you
synergized
have, like-
very well.
Because
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
F7
enough about music theory to like reciprocate as much.
F777.
Yeah, make it
I have
happen.
you
That'll
on
be fun.
Discord. I can just message you whenever. So it could be fine.
Get Rage 4 on here.
I'd need to find his contact. There's somebody, I know Nightkill is pretty hard to find. I knew someone who had his Discord. I don't know what happened to it though.
Someone's
But,
asking me to get in contact with
yeah,
Rocket
we got
as well,
end.
but yeah.
Yeah, thanks
But-
again. I
Yeah.
gotta drop.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Thank
I
you for coming in.
gotta eat, man. It's
Thank you.
10 p.m.
Yeah, same.
Pretty
But
hungry.
Cool. Well-
lovely, and I appreciate you guys coming
This is
on.
the only time I've ever worn a leather jacket, by the way. Never worn one
Fun.
until now. The sleeves
Special
don't fit, but
occasion.
Cool.
no. Thank you so much. This was dope.
Have a good one, y'all.